Hokage give me a face. Bleach. Chapter 61-80. Chapter 61_Fight for Dignity. Why agree? He's called compromise. Fengchao Luzhiro shrugged. Go on your own, I don't want to be warned by Captain Kuchiki in the future. What excuses are you making for being cowardly? Yizan sneered. I don't understand Bai Zai wanting to hang himself on a tree like Feijun. But my brother's decision, no matter what, I will do it. Big brother always wants to help. You people are too cowardly, how can you be as great and selfless as me? I said, let's make a gesture. Fengchao Luzhiro had a smile on his face, but murderous aura was brewing in his eyes. Such a narcissistic and proud look is really annoying. Coward. Big brother will let you know who is the coward. Yo, he doesn't think he can be stronger than me, does he? Yizan was a little surprised in his heart, but he didn't show it on his face, he just glanced at Fengchao Luzhiro lightly. At this moment, he was so angry that he almost jumped up. It was only then that Yizan raised his head and said, comparing, I will let you know that I have capital for being arrogant. 083. So you still know that you are arrogant. Fengchao Luzhiro just felt that his hands were itching and he could not wait to beat the arrogant little brother in front of him to the ground. It's said that Lao Su has arrogant capital. Yizan chuckled, if you want to fight, you can fight, if you don't fight, don't force it. Fengchao Luzhiro raised his right foot, and kicked him without saying hello. Yizan leaned back slightly, his hair was only 1 centimeter away from his legs, but he just didn't let him touch it. This is a bit sinister. Yizan reached out and grabbed his ankle, with a faint spiritual power attached to his palm. Why don't you experience the feeling of flying out? What? Fengchao Luzhiro found that he couldn't break free from Yizan's hand, and his body could no longer maintain his balance, and he couldn't help but turn pale with fright. Captain Yuji drew a white arc in midair. Yizan carried Fengchao Luzhiro and swung it for half a circle before letting go. Fengchao Luzhiro immediately flew out, and didn't stop until he hit the wall beside him. Boom! After the loud crash, a large crack was cracked in the very solid wall cast by Jingling Court. Not bad. Fengchao Luzhiro wiped the blood from his mouth. I can't tell, you are quite strong. Is it just a matter of strength? Yizan chuckled lightly. You must know that my white fights and ghosts are also very powerful. Fengchao Luzhiro looked at his smile and felt hairy for no reason. The rules of Jingling Court. You can't use powerful ghosts in Jingling Court when you are not fighting. Of course I know this, so you think I can't use ghosts, and I can't repair you with physical skills alone. Yizan looked at Fengchao Luzhiro provocatively. You will soon know how much you think. Stupid. Okay, let's try it. I was careless just now. Before Fengchao Luzhiro finished speaking, Yizan had already appeared in front of him in a flash. To be honest, I've always felt that people who talk a lot will suffer when they fight. For example, now, when the words fell, Yizan hit Fengchao Luzhiro again with a left hook. At this time, Fengchao Luzhiro, who was flying in the air, still had a shocked expression on his face that he didn't finish speaking. In fact, I don't want to do this, I accidentally used a lot of strength. Yizan said without any apology. Shut up for me. Fengchao Luzhiro shouted these words and landed in a thrilling posture. At least he didn't let himself hit the wall again. It's obvious that you talk a lot. Yizan shrugged. Hobashiro Jiro pulled out Zanpakuto with a dark face, and Uzumaki of the wind formed by spiritual power surrounded him. Although Shikai can't be used in Jingling Garden, it doesn't matter if you just draw a knife. Boy, I won't be polite to you. Really? That's just the opposite, I'll be very polite to you. Only using 1/5 of the Reiatsu is my greatest courtesy to you. Yizan slowly pulled out his Zanpakuto. You must be jealous of me. Generally men with long hair are narcissistic. You must think that you are handsome, but girls all like me, but they don't like you. Look, I'm very unpleasant, aren't I? You need to clean up this kid. Fengchao Luzhiro was hit by Yizan's words, and rushed up waving Zanpakuto. Bah! A blue light burst, which was the result of the collision of the spiritual energy attached to Zanpakuto. Yizan resisted Fengqiao Lujiro's attack with one hand, with a smug smile on his face. This spiritual pressure. Yamamoto Shigekuni frowned and glanced at the direction from which the spiritual pressure came. Yizan is too arrogant. I knew that sooner or later I would fight someone. Sparrow Minister Jiro smiled. Young people, it's normal to like to fight when you're angry. Remember when I was? Yamamoto Shigekuni stroked his beard, wanting to say that he would never cause trouble in such a senseless way, but he couldn't say it in the eyes of Jiro, the head of the sparrow. Let's get over it later. Take a look at the scene, and let them compensate according to the price for the damage. Tisk tisk, as soon as this kid Yizan takes up his post, the maintenance cost of Jingling Court will go up again. Quote. Well, while their salaries have not been spent, they will be fined a little more. Minister Jiro nodded in agreement. Yeah, the strength is not bad. At this time, Yizan didn't know yet that Yamamoto Shigekuni and his vice captain were ready for a fine, and they were still proudly provoking Fengqiao Lujiro. But Fengqiao Lujiro did not accept Yizan's provocation. He will be in shock, very shocked. This blow, he didn't release any water. He really used all his strength, but this guy in front of him actually caught his full blow with one hand. This kind of strength, even the captain of the 13th Division, few people can do it, right? And the phrase, it's the catchphrase of the shy Jingle Chunshui. Now it's said by Yizan, who is even more slender than Jingle Chunshui. Chapter 62 So arrogant. Captain Yamamoto hasn't accepted a disciple for so many years. You really have some strength if you can let him accept him. No. I think you must have misunderstood a little. Yizan pulled away his Zanpakuto, jumped back, and retreated 2 or 3 meters away. I'm strong. It's not because I'm a disciple of Old Man Yamamoto, but it is because Old Man Yamamoto found that I am strong, so I am a disciple. There is an essential difference in this, and I hope you will make it clear. After he finished speaking, Yizan did not wait for Fengqiao Lujiro to respond, and performed Shunbu, dodged around behind him. Brush. Through the clothes sounded, and Fengqiao Lujiro immediately turned back and blocked with Zanpakuto. So fast. Fengqiao Lujiro looked at the scar on his arm in surprise. Because it was too fast, he had already been slashed before he knew it. If not, it was his own speed. Clang. When the blades collided, Fengqiao Lujiro only felt a shock from the tiger's mouth, and the huge force transmitted from the blades sent him flying in an instant. So strong. This thought flashed across his mind for a moment, and Yizan's attacks had already followed. Bounding the way 8th, reprimand. Fengqiao Lujiro's left hand rested on the right hand holding the knife, and the light blue spiritual shield disappeared in a flash. The response is very fast. Yizan raised his eyebrows in surprise without smashing Fengqiao Lujiro's spiritual shield with a neither light nor heavy knife. That's natural, after all. I've been the captain for so many years. Kazukiro Jiro laughed and moved his finger. Yuhi-colored spiritual power was saving money to form a complex font. The 9 of the Tao, hit. The Yuhi-colored light beam wrapped around and rolled towards Yizan. Yizan snorted in disdain, leaned back, avoided the Yuhi light and then waved the knife with his backhand. Link C. At the same time, he performed Shunpo, and the figure disappeared again in place. There was another sound of cloth being torn, and a blood flower bloomed from the shoulder of Fengqiao Lujiro. Fengqiao Lujiro dodged in hindsight, and then tore off his tattered sleeves. Bah! Yizan didn't give him time to rest, just waving his hand was a knife. Fengqiao Lujiro laughed, blocked Yizan's attack and dodged, then rushed straight up. Speeding up. Yizan dodged the blade in surprise, and a small piece of cloth was scratched off his sleeve. It turns out that you were hiding something just now. You might be able to pretend to be coercive with others, but when you meet me here, it's not very good for you to do this. You will be slapped in the face. Yizan shook his head slightly. Hey, certification 1 point. Don't lose too badly. Looking at your arrogant appearance, I really want you to try my Benkai's power. Fengqiao Luzhiro rushed up again after saying this. At this time, the movement of their fighting has attracted many gods of death, and everyone did not dare to get too close. Looking at it this way, I feel that I am not in the same realm as the captains at all. It's not in the same realm. Otherwise, wouldn't you be the captain? People and people, as expected, are different from leftover men. When they were discussing the battle between Yizan and Fengqiao Luzhiro in whispers, the battle between the two of them also reached a fever pitch. Didn't you find out? With your speed, it's impossible to hurt me at all, Yizan said while slashing with Fengqiao Luzhiro. Fengqiao Luzhiro bit Kiba and glanced at the two new wounds in his heart. Even so, your use of ghosts and Zanpakuto is not as good as mine. I didn't want to do this to you. I am really sorry. 63 of the way of binding, chain binding. The thick golden chain suddenly appeared from his hand, and the huge impact actually knocked Yizan out. After the sharp friction, it was the sound of the roof collapsing, and all the gods of death onlookers looked at the house that collapsed with the collapse of the roof, and remained silent. The golden-colored spiritual power twisted the chain to catch up in the direction that it flew out, and only a golden-colored phantom crossed in the eyes of everyone. Boom! Another house unfortunately swept away by chains collapsed. How can this trick actually work like this? Yizan stared at the spiritual power chain that was chasing after him, and a hint of caution flashed in his eyes. Isn't it possible that Jinglingting can't use the powerful ghost way? Captain Fengqiao won't be punished for using it like this. Yizan made a beheading gesture on his neck. Old man Yamamoto is serious but he doesn't recognize his 6 relatives. Haha, that's a big deal. Fengqiao Luzhiro had a frenzied expression on his face. He has now been completely aroused by Yizan's fighting spirit, and he doesn't care about the consequences at all. I must teach you today what it means to respect seniors. Innocent. Yizan sneered. 63 of the Tao, this should be considered a high-level ghost, right? How long do you think you can hold on? Or, do you catch me first, or I will break you first? Ghosts. Do you think you can dodge? Fengqiao Luzhiro snorted coldly, and the golden chain he controlled suddenly increased, and when Yizan had no time to react, it rose into the air, twisting and wrapping Yizan inside. If you can easily escape, what's the point of being the captain of me? Boy, if you beg for mercy now, Senior will let you go. How can it be? The word begging has never been in Yizan's dictionary. He only plays tricks and never begs for mercy. Clang. Zanpakuto slashed at the chain formed by spiritual energy, and made a crisp sound, but the chain remained motionless. It's too thick, it's not easy to cut off the Daoji. No, I still don't need that, it's boring. Yizan's eyes flickered. People like me should speak with strength, right? He just wanted to use the inverted mountain crystal of 73 of the Tao, and he could also use up the little spiritual power of Fengqiao Luzhiro. However, doing so would be too unprofessional. Obviously, you can cut the chain with one knife, and pretend to be a force. A smile crossed the corner of Yizan's mouth, and he slowly began to improve his spiritual power. If he was not afraid that the fivefold spiritual pressure would explode and scare the innocent onlookers, he really wanted to use all his strength directly. Chapter 63_lose money or something. Forget it, after all, that would be meaningless. Yizan sighed, feeling quite lonely at this moment. Your spiritual pressure. Even if it was only a small improvement, Fengqiao Lujiro's expression changed drastically. Yizan gathered spiritual power in his shocked eyes, and the yuhi-colored Zanpakuto was wrapped in light blue spiritual pressure, emitting an eerie purple light. Don't be so surprised, I'm just trying. See if I can break the chain. Yizan said, holding the handle of the knife with both hands, and facing the gradually closing spiritual chain. Shoo! The sound of breaking the air was especially loud when everyone was holding their breaths. At the same time, the purple blade shadow passed through the yellow chain and flashed by. The airflow generated by the operation of the spiritual power was stagnant, and the next moment, a burst of air rushed towards the face, and several onlookers who were not standing still flew out directly. Fengqiao Lujirou's eyes widened, looking at Yi Zan in disbelief. After a while, a string of houses shook in the direction Yi Zan pointed at just now, and collapsed one after another. Yi Zan didn't expect that he just cut like this, to have such great power. But it's just a little harder. Yi Zan touched his head, and was a little embarrassed by the wooden pipes of the onlookers. Malicious destruction of the jingling court building, Captain Yi Zan, and Captain Fengqiao, when are you going to stop? At the beginning, Aikawa Luowu was still watching the fun leisurely. When Fengqiao Lujiro used the 63rd breakthrough, he felt that the battle would be over soon, and there was no need to interrupt. But what is this now? 1 house, 2 houses, 3 houses. It's all money. Others are at the scene. The damage here is so serious, Captain Yamamoto will definitely let him take responsibility together. I'm going to cry thinking about it. Fengqiao Lujiro was named by him, and then he came back to his senses, and he was speechless when he saw a large house that was cut down by Yi Zan. He estimated the compensation issue he would face next, and his face turned green. I still have something to do, you guys are busy first, I'm leaving. Yi Zan patted his forehead, rubbed oil on the soles of his feet, and wanted to slip away. Old man Yamamoto. Yi Zan looked at him in shock, stopped at his feet, and then stood behind him. Minister Jiro, isn't it? What are you waiting for? Since it's here, show up early. Lao Su's house has been chopped down before you show up. Is this appropriate? Just to arrest someone. So insidious. Walking side by side with Fengqiao Lujiro on the road, Yi Zan's heart was cold. Fighting is not a problem. But other than fighting, everything else is a problem. Money is a bastard, money is a cutie. But he has no money now. Old man Yamamoto, it's useless for you to arrest me, I have no money, you know. How dare you smash the house without money? You are very courageous. Yamamoto Shigekuni patted Yi Zan's shoulder with a smile. This is not inferior to the team, so you can't use the funds on the 10th team's account to exchange, just start from the salary buckle. That's good. Yi Zan heaved a sigh of relief when he heard this. Just using your captain's salary to pay off the debts of 16 houses, about 30 to 50 years is not enough. Yamamoto Shigekuni continued to laugh, with an amiable smile, but Yi Zan clearly saw cunning and schadenfreude in his narrowed eyes. This old man must have been at the scene long ago, he just didn't show up in some horny pimple. If he showed up earlier, I wouldn't have to owe this ass debt at all, right? So insidious. Fengqiao Lujiro obviously also thought of this question, and his eyes were full of disillusionment when he looked at Yamamoto Shigekuni. Isn't it? Yamamoto Shigekuni, who single-handedly founded the Guardian of the 13th chapter, is an idol-like existence in the eyes of Jinglingting, the god of death, and he actually framed his own subordinates. Do you think he is insidious? Yi Zan raised his eyebrows and looked at Fengqiao Lujiro. Indeed. Fengqiao Lujiro nodded in agreement. I was fighting to the death just now, but now I'm reconciled. Yamamoto Shigekuni reached out and stroked his beard. Isn't this a good idea? It's been like this before, and it doesn't need to be so troublesome now, isn't it? I think you were able to block my sword chi just now. Yi Zan bit Kiba, gnashing his teeth, wishing he could pull off the old man's tattered beard. In fact, he did it too. Yamamoto Shigekuni was short, and he avoided his hand leisurely. Why, you still think the punishment is not enough, and you want to demolish a few more houses to collect 100 years' salary. Old man, you are so insidious, you deserve to be a bachelor for the rest of your life, you know. Yi Zan finished, followed by a sweeping leg. Yamamoto Shigekuni jumped lightly, once again dodging his attack. I'm old and my bones are hard, but I don't have the strength to fight you. Pretend. Yi Zan turned to Byakugan. Young people these days, you really can't hold your breath, it's not like we were back then. Yamamoto Shigekuni shook his head and sighed, and walked away one step ahead. Does this old-fashioned tone make people want to flatter him? Yizan turned his head and asked Fengqiao Luzhiro, who was walking beside him. Fengqiao Luzhiro nodded, and then said with Yizan's satisfied expression, I now believe that you are master and apprentice, and this kind of flat tone is also in the same line. Yizan, you don't give in too much. Thank you. You, welcome. 26 houses were damaged, of which 5.118 were completely damaged, 6 walls were cracked, and 2 tiles were damaged. 36 courtyard walls were damaged, and about 17 streets were damaged. The total amount of compensation required, 5,326 taels. After reading the list in his hand, Jiro, the head of the sparrow, put it in front of Yizan and Fengqiao Luzhiro. Wait, did I hear something wrong? Yizan scratched his ears in disbelief. How much did you say? 45,326 taels. Fengqiao Luzhiro repeated weakly, turning his head to look at Yizan with a deep sadness in his eyes. You demolished at least 20 of these buildings. I'm blaming me. Yizan looked back sadly. If you don't fight with me, will we have this? Jinglingting can't use the powerful ghost way, you don't know it. Chapter 64-King Yamamoto. Bound Dao. Fengqiao Luzhiro wanted to say that Bound Dao was not a powerful ghost, but when he remembered the walls and houses that were smashed by huge chains, he knew he was wrong, touched his nose, and didn't answer. This compensation must be paid by the captain of Fengqiaolo. Taking advantage of Fengqiao Luzhiro's being forced to speak, Yizan took advantage of the victory to pursue, and did not miss this opportunity to throw the blame at all. Fengqiaolo, was it your first move? Yamamoto Shigekuni asked suspiciously. Fengqiaolo's intestines, which are now regrettable, are green, he sighed and nodded helplessly. It's me. So, Yizan's words also make sense. Yamamoto Shigekuni made a contemplative look, but with Yizan's strength, it shouldn't be difficult to escape, and most of these houses are still destroyed by you. Well, you are fined less than Fengqiaolo, 20,000 taels, and Fengqiaolo pays the remaining 25,326 taels. It's only 30 points. Yizan was dissatisfied. I don't agree. I don't agree with you to help others build the house. Yamamoto Shigekuni snorted coldly, looking like he didn't have any leeway. Aren't you my master? Yamamoto Shigekuni nodded calmly, but this old man is unselfish. One day as a teacher, life as a father, right? There was a hint of cunning in Yizan's eyes. Old fox, want to trick me? It's so easy, I will take your surname from now on. Yes, Yamamoto Shigekuni nodded, not understanding what Yizan meant by this. Could it be that this kid finally found out how arrogant his previous behavior was, and now he wants to respect his teacher? Not so good. Truth is, of course, that's how it is. Yizan heard Yamamoto Shigekuni's affirmation, and his eyes were even more cunning. Is it right and proper for the son to pay the father's debt? As soon as these words came out, the room fell silent. Yamamoto Shigekuni's hand touching the beard stopped, staring at Yizan dumbfounded. Then it's settled, I withdraw, goodbye. Yizan threw down these words, took advantage of Yamamoto Shigekuni's failure to respond, and ran out of the door in a hurry. After leaving the captain's office, Yizan looked up at the sky and found that it was getting dark, and the good time had been wasted. Obviously he went to Kuchiki's house to find Byakuya. Yizan remembered his original purpose and showed an incredible expression. How could he be hooked up and get into a fight, and still owe such a debt? Let's see Brother Bai tomorrow. Fortunately, all the debts fell on the old man Yamamoto. The old man has been the captain for so many years, so he must be very rich. Yizan thought that he was debt-free and light, and then thought about Fengqiaolojiro's debt of more than 20,000 taels, only to feel that his steps were much easier. Sure enough, there is a contrast in life to reflect happiness. When I returned to the 10th Division's station and pushed the door in, everyone present looked over in unison. What are you looking at? You won't know your boss after a while. Yizan's eyes swept across the crowd, and the people he saw lowered their heads. I thought someone else was going to challenge me. Yizan pouted and continued to walk forward. Captain, did you fight with the captain of the 3rd Division just now? Behind, a person finally couldn't help but ask. Yeah, didn't this just come back from the captain's office? Then, who won? The place where Yizan and Fengchao Luzhiro fought was not the area patrolled by the 10th Division. By the time they got the news, both Yizan and Fengchao Luzhiro had been taken away by Yamamoto Shigekuni. So no one really knows who wins and who loses. I lost. There was a sigh of frustration behind him. Do you think this is possible? Yizan's mouth curled into a smile. I, your captain, are invincible. I must not lose. For Yizan's appetizing behavior, everyone present booed to express their dissatisfaction. After the booing, their attention turned to other things. I heard that the captain demolished a lot of houses. A team member whispered to the people around him. I heard that there are dozens of rooms. That road, I went to see it, and it was just a short distance away from being razed to the ground. As destructive as Killian. How can Killian be compared to the captain? That's what the captain does with one knife. I'm talking about destructive power. Do you understand destructive power? If you want me to say, the captains are still restrained. Otherwise, one person will throw a few breaks. Tisk tisk tisk, how exciting. Tisk tisk tisk, it's wonderful, if you smash it, it's all money. The house in Jinglingting is very expensive. Speaking of which, Captain Kuchiki is amazing. What? The silver-white Kazuhana yarn around his neck is worth 10 houses. If it gets scratched during the battle, wouldn't it hurt to death? It won't hurt. You see, our captain demolished dozens of houses after a fight. ... Is it appropriate for you to think that I don't exist? Yizan turned to look at the more excited players. Everyone, run 50 laps around the dormitory area, and you won't be allowed to eat until you finish the run. Captain, you are so cruel. The players let out one after another howling. This is your punishment for arguing against the captain. Hurry up, and I'll let the cook dump the rice after the meal is over. Everyone looked at Yizan in shock, unable to believe that he was so heartless. That, Captain, I didn't speak just now, do I need to run? A member of the team said cautiously, and soon several others echoed. They looked at Yizan eagerly, their faces pleading. But Yizan denied their idea without hesitation. It's all of you. He smiled slightly. Didn't you all listen carefully just now? We are all from the same team. We share the blessings and share the burdens. The devil. This is the devil. It's still half an hour before the meal. I don't mind if you want to grind. Yizan accepted the title happily. Anyway, it's you who are hungry. After speaking, he walked into the team building. Yo, Dong Xian is also here. Yizan raised his eyebrows and looked at Dong Xian Yao. Will we have dinner together later? Okay. Dong Xian nodded. Chapter 65-Bad People. I heard that the deputy captain turned out to be from the 9th Division. Yizan looked at Dong Xian Yao, who looked rigid from head to toe. He obviously has a non-mainstream hairstyle, but inside is a man who is so serious that he can't be flexible at all. Yes. Dong Xian nodded, because the 10th Division doesn't have a captain, he was transferred over. Is this all right? Although he couldn't see it, Yizan's exaggerated tone made Dong Xian understand his surprise. For me, of course, this is Gao Sheng. Dong Xian wanted to say. No, that's not what I meant. Yizan looked at the future captain of the 9th Division. I just thought, are you a spy sent by the 9th Division? Dong Xian's face changed greatly. No. Of course I can't be a spy. It's all a god of death, and there's no such thing as a spy. Of course I'm joking. Yizan laughed when he saw his panicked look. I'm just curious when you look so serious. How long have you been the deputy captain? I've been transferred since the former captain and vice captain died. Dong Xian said with a darkened face. But he was originally a dark-skinned man, and his face turned black was of no use, because others couldn't see it. Do you have any opinion on me, the airborne captain? Yizan smiled and patted Dong Xian on the shoulder. This guy is a dead brain. Just use his feelings and just flicker a few times, and he will be stupid. Rush up. A stunned Blue who was pitted by Blue Dye. You are very strong, Dong Xianyao said in a flat tone. Just like that. I haven't passed the captain's examination. Ah, Yizan frowned. This stern ability is really not a cover. And this thing? Pass the captain's exam under the witness of 3 captains including the chief captain, recommended by more than 6 captains, or defeat the previous captain. What the hell, does he mean to be dissatisfied with Lao Su? Yizan blinked and blinked again. But you are very strong. Dong Xian wanted to make his final statement in a calm manner. So why did you say so much before? Does it show that I am strong? If that's a compliment, that's too subtle. Yizan paused slightly, but still accepted the compliment. I'm really strong, but I'm definitely not going through the back door. The recommendations of the 6 captains are easy for me to get. Look, Shiryu Kataki, Chunshui Jingle, Old Man Yamamoto, Yi Saifeng Yuan 1, Fengchao Luzhiro, Aikawa Luowu or Guiyancheng Kenpachi. These are all 7. It's not difficult at all, don't you think? Dongxian nodded. There is a feeling of being unable to speak. Yizan paused slightly, and an idea came to his mind. But I did not go through those 3 methods, and was directly appointed as the captain by Old Man Yamamoto. I am also a disciple of Old Man Yamamoto. Do you think I went through the back door? It's obviously the kind of person who is very strict with rules and has a strong sense of justice. It's impossible to not care at all, right? First guide him to speak his mind, then criticize the existing rules of the Soul Society, and finally express the great ideal of changing the structure of the Soul Society. Wouldn't that put him under his command? It must be very interesting to dig the corners of blue-dyed walls. I heard about you killing Achukas in Mao before you became captain. There's no way to talk about this. Yizan drunkenly looked at the expressionless Dong Xianyao. There are many people who can kill Achukas, but I don't know any of them. So the captain has no confidence in his own strength. Dong Xianyao's tone rose slightly. What do you want to say? Holy crap, can you guys still make people talk well? Yizan bit Kiba. It's nothing, I just think you are too boring. It's really not as interesting as girls. Dong Xian wanted to nod his head sincerely, clean up the tableware and get up and leave, leaving only Yizan who was completely messy in the wind. This is the little brother who wants to expand the territory for my career in the future. I can't get angry. Can't get angry. Compared with him, Baizai's younger brother is simply too cute. The next day, Yizan met Baizai accompanied by the housekeeper of Kuchiki. At that time, he was sitting in front of his desk and copying, with a 10 cm thick book on his left and a stack of 30 to 40 cm on his right. Tall paper, the kind that is full of writing. Don't tell me this is your guest list. Yizan sighed in surprise. No, Kuchiki Gyakuya replied without raising his head, Kuchiki's house rules. Yizan took the book and flipped through it, and it was full of words. It's not because you want to marry Feijun, so your old man asked you to do this, right? Yeah. Little brother, big brother sympathizes with you. Yizan pressed his shoulder heavily. I'm here to ask you, what do you want as a wedding gift? No need. Byakuya Kuchiki shook his head. My eldest brother's wishes are not given to you alone. Ask your wife if she wants anything in particular. Haijin. Byakuya Kuchiki finally put down his pen and looked up and down Yizan with suspicious eyes. What kind of eyes did I say you were looking at? Are you afraid that I would steal your wife from you? Yizan frowned. You dare to say that I will beat you up, believe it or not. It's your bad behavior, Kuchiki Byakuya said with certainty. You brat. Yizan slapped him on the head. If your skin is itchy, just say it, I will relax with you. I heard that you demolished dozens of houses in Jingling Court yesterday, and all the debts you owe have been paid off. Isn't your kid imprisoned? How do you even know this? The news is quite well informed. Yizan let out a cold snort. Old man Yamamoto paid for that. The captain should not be such a talkative person. Ha ha. Yizan sneered, of course your elder brother and I are different from others. How long will you have to copy the rules? 200 times. Amazing. Yizan sighed and glanced at the part Kuchiki Byakuya had already copied. You don't lack anything anyway. Do you know what your wife wants? It doesn't have to be anything, such as an unfulfilled wish. I'm not an ordinary person. As long as she can say it, I can do it for you. 2. Chapter 66_gift in progress. So, just follow me honestly in the future, you won't suffer. She didn't say it. Kuchiki Byakuya thought for a while and shook his head. I'm very thankful for you to come, no need for those false gifts. Really not. Isn't she from Liuhun Street? Don't want to find real family and friends. It's a bit strange to hear what you said. A hint of doubt flashed in Byakuya Kuchiki's eyes. Accidentally hinted that it was too obvious. Yizan twitched the corners of his mouth. Because of your eldest brother, I have no money. So it's better to find someone without spending money. Yizan found a very solid reason. Kuchiki Byakuya pondered for a moment and nodded. There is one, but you shouldn't be able to find it. How do you know you can't find it if you don't say it? Yizan raised his eyebrows proudly. If this is Rukia, I even know where she is. Find out for you in minutes. She has a younger sister who was lost when she was a child. There is no information other than that. Can you find it? Byakuya Kuchiki shook his head. I sent a lot of people to check, but there is no news. Later, your father found out that you were looking for someone. Your father knew that you had someone outside, and then you had a showdown with your father, and finally you were locked up. Kuchiki Byakuya looked at Yizan in shock, with a foolish expression on. How do you know? Your elder brother. I'm smart, just guess with your toes. Yizan raised his head. Just wait, I'll find your little sister for you soon. There are 80 districts in Liuhun Street. Kuchiki Byakuya reminded faintly. It's rare for a child to get lost when the law and order is good. Yizan patted Baizai on the shoulder meaningfully. Of course, we should start looking for the place with the worst law and order. Besides, Rukia wasn't lost at all, but Feijun couldn't support her, so she just threw it away. Wake up, in order to save a gift money, I will find your sister-in-law back for you. It's just that, after finding it, is Byakuya going to adopt her, or not? After adopting him, he became Rukia's older brother. Isn't that incest with Feijun? This is so interesting. If you don't adopt Rukia, that's called Kuchiki Rukia. So, will it be called Palace Rukia in the future? Or simply call Asanjing Rukia? The more Yizan thought about it, the more funny he felt, and a smile appeared on his face. Kuchiki Byakuya was inexplicably laughed at by him, and continued to write with a blank face. With a goal, it's still very quick to find someone, not to mention Yizan also activated Saifengyuan Night 1. As far as Saifengyuan's family's probing skills are concerned, it is too easy to find a child who looks similar to Feijun and has spiritual power. Even though I was manipulated by Big Sister Yi at that time, but it can be considered as an advantage for me, right? Yizan remembered the S-shaped figure of Saifengyuan Yi, and smiled. Although it's not my type, this figure is still very predictable. Yi Xuanwang went to the office of the 2nd Division, and pushed open the door of the captain's office in the sound of the player's salute. Several people inside turned their heads and looked over. Saifengyuan Yaiki, Urahara Kazuki, Hirako Meiko, Shiba Heian, Shiba Sora who Yizan saw for the first time. And the 2.5 children. It's this little girl, Yizan asked, pretending to be surprised. Is the eldest sister Yi's head very fast? I found it in just a few days. Better than younger brother Baizai. It's your idea, you know, to start looking in the next few districts. Saifengyuan Yi gave Yizan a thumbs up. I also know how to find a girl who looks similar to Feijun. But how did you know she has spiritual power? Urahara Kazuki asked suspiciously. I know this. Saifengyuan Yi said without waiting for Yizan to answer. because you only need to drink water to survive, so there is no problem of not being able to feed. Smart. Urahara Kazuki nodded in agreement. Master Kuchiki must like this gift. He didn't mean anything else when he said this. It's just that people who are engaged in scientific research have a strange uncle's temperament, so Renji Asanjing opened his hands without hesitation, blocking the exposure like a hen protecting a chick. In front of Chia. What the hell are you trying to do? Childhood sweethearts, no guesses. Tisk tisk. We are the gods of death, didn't anyone tell you? Yizan showed a sinister smile on his face. The way for the gods of death to increase their spiritual power is to eat children with spiritual power. Look at the fact that so many of us are gathered together. For the banquet. Yan. Banquet. Asanjing Renji obviously believed Yizan's words, and Yuhi's hair exploded in fright. Yeah, a banquet. A banquet hosted by a man named Byakuya Kuchiki. She, that little girl, was our gift to Byakuya Kuchiki. As for you, we'll keep it for ourselves. You lied to me, that's not what you said at the time. Asanjing Renji jumped in anger. Rukia, I'll take you away. When is Jinglingting a place where you can come when you want, and leave when you want? Yizan stepped on the door frame very arrogantly, just blocking the way out. You are the gifts I prepared. How could I let you go? Asshole. Asanjing Renji roared at Yizan, but was easily blocked by Yizan's finger on his forehead. No matter how powerful he was, he couldn't move a step forward. Asshole, asshole, asshole. Boy, you are so weak. Yizan smiled and rubbed his head. Just like you still want to attack me. Naive. Yizan, isn't it a bit too much for you to bully children like this? Saifeng Yuan came over Yi, bent down and looked at Renji Asanjing. That's a good look. Arrogant little brat. Yizan stretched out his hand and flicked Asanjing Renji's forehead. Asshole. You don't say anything other than bastard. I played you just now, and it's my kindness that I didn't use my spiritual power. Okay, I said don't bully children. Yi slapped Yizan on the back. Look at how you scared this little girl. Chapter 67_Rukia and Renji. Scared of what? She couldn't figure out how to complain in her heart. Yizan glanced at Rukia, who had a dull face, and appeared beside her in a flash. Little girl, how about following me in the future? Yizan, you are starting again. Zibo Heian covered her face weakly. This is Bai's eyes. You are doing this wrong. Zibo Heian didn't say who Rukia was from Byakuya, but everyone present knew it. Isn't it my sister-in-law? What's hard to tell? Yizan shrugged. Baizai is my little brother. Isn't his sister-in-law the same as his sister-in-law? Young man, don't start when you see a girl, okay? Zibo Heian said with a helpless expression. You're wrong about that. Yizan shook his head with a reserved face. At least I won't hit Yi. Why do I sound a little disgusted by this? Saifeng Yuan Yi looked left and right in doubt, with a look on his face asking someone to answer. He just hates it. Urahara Kazuki nodded affirmatively. It's not dislike, it's just that Big Sister Yi happens to be the kind of woman I will never like. Tilda. If you say it's a woman, it's also because of your good figure. Big sister, one day you say you're a man, I won't be surprised at all. Then do you have other women you don't like? Zibo Kong asked. This must be Zibo Heian's younger sister, Miss Zibo Kong, right? You actually know me. That's right, I've heard it before. Miss Zibo asked me if there were any other women I didn't like. I can only say, no. PFF'd. Urahara Kazuki and Shiba Heian both covered their mouths and laughed. So, I'm the only woman you don't like. Yi clenched his fist, and the knuckles on his fingers rattled. It looks like he really wants to beat me up. Yizan shook his head again and again, because in my eyes, you are my buddy. When the words fell, Yizan raised his hand to block. Snapped. Eldest sister Yi, if you act like this, others will misunderstand. Yizan shook his head and sighed. Sure enough, he's a very bad boy. Zibo Kong nodded to the knight, this captain doesn't seem to have any water. Beauty, it's not right for you to say that. Yizan waved his hand. I'm invincible, a man who will change the world one day. How could he be the captain of a mere 10th division? What an arrogant kid. Zibo Kong took a few steps back exaggeratedly. He wants to change the world. Is it funny? Don't you think the system of the Soul Society is very unreasonable? Nobles are above the commoners, but in fact they have no freedom of action. As for commoners, they can't even eat enough to eat, so they have to abandon their families to survive. Quote. Yizan pointed Zhongshan, and he had the intention of shoving all the words he had to prepare for feeding Dongxian to the people in front of him. The main reason is that Dongxian wants that guy too much, and he comes and goes like, yes, yes, okay. This kind of answer can't bring out the following topic at all. He should still find a chance to talk to him better. He should be able to talk better in front of the grave of his nameless crush. When Yizan was talking about the unreasonable system of the Soul Society and stunned the others, Asanjing Renji approached Rukia and whispered, Rukia, they seem to be fighting. Shall we take a flight? But, they said to take me to find my family. Rukia was reluctant to leave, pricked up his ears and listened to what Yizan said. She felt that those words made sense. Idiot, that must have lied to you. You heard the bastard say that the gods of death eat children like us to improve their spiritual power. Renji, do you believe this kind of thing? Rukia looked at him even more surprised. It's a lie when you hear it. What? Liar. Asanjing Renji shouted in surprise, successfully drawing everyone's attention back to them. This kid really believed it. Urahara Kazuki said with a look of surprise, I didn't expect Yizan to be able to deceive people with such a clumsy lie. As Yizan caught Siphon Yuan Ye's faster and faster punches, he said, I have to make 2 corrections to what you said. First, this is not a clumsy lie, but it has no loopholes. Fine lies, it just can't happen. 2, this guy is too stupid. But whether he's stupid or not has nothing to do with what I say. So what? Anyway, I just wanted to show that this guy is stupid. Yizan jumped up to avoid Yi and his legs. You still have leisure time to talk, and it seems that you haven't done your best. Siphon Yuan Yi waved his fist again. Eldest sister, if you don't bring your spiritual power, I'll let you hit twice without pain or itching. I won't accompany you like this. Because you deserve a beating, boy. Yi's spiritual power condensed in his hand. Yi, this is your 2nd division's quarters. I shouldn't say anything more, but you punched, and Yizan didn't dodge it. If you dodge, isn't it just demolishing the house? Urahara Kazuki shook his head again and again. After all, there are still children present, so it's not good to be scared. Sefenjin Yi took a look at Asanjing Renji and Rukia, and withdrew his hand angrily. It's cheap, you kid. Anyway, even if you do it, you won't be able to hit me. Yizan shrugged. It's not cheap, it just saves some time. Yi-zan. Siphon Yuan called Yizan's name word by word. Yizan didn't look good, so he quickly raised his hands and surrendered. I was wrong, eldest sister, you are the best. Zibo Heian rubbed his arms exaggeratedly. What an exaggerated acting. I agree with this. Urahara Kazuki nodded. This kind of thing doesn't need your consent at all. Siphon Yuan turned around and yelled at Night. That's right, if you say this, big sister Yi won't go down the stairs, okay. Yizan echoed his support. It sounds too much for you to say that. Zibo Kong slapped the table with a smile. Snapped. Yizan received a slap on the head. With a successful hit, Siphon Yuan Yi clapped his hands in satisfaction. Really? Yizan shook his head. Okay, let's not make trouble. What will happen to these two? Chapter 68_Jinwu Zhangjiao. We don't know either. Siphon Yuan Yi shrugged. I originally wanted to take Heian and Kong to see Feijun, but they said they found them. Are you going to take them there now? I'd better tell Bai Zai about this kind of thing first. Yizan looked at Renji Asanjing and Rukia, who were flabbergasted. You must give them some time to prepare mentally. Actually, you just frightened the two children. I'm afraid they will complain to their parents. Zibo Heian, we really don't know each other. Can you stop giving me face like this all the time? Yizan was completely angry. Baizai is my little brother, I'm afraid they will sue. What a joke. Then you don't have to send people back directly. Urahara Kazuki also showed a puzzled expression. Of course I have my considerations. Let's hear it. Siphon Yuan returned to the seat at night and sat down. Find someone to stay with these two little friends to eat. Adults are not for children to listen to. Yizan said, and greeted the two members of the second division. Bring them with you. Eat something, watch it, don't let them run away, we're still waiting for these two little guys to drink. Yes. The two gods of death who were named nodded and said yes, matching Yizan with a terrifying expression. You're so boring. After the people left, the Sichuan Institute complained disdainfully. No way, the process of changing the world is so boring, I have to have some fun for myself, don't you think? Tell me what you think. All of you here are nobles, big and small. Think with your noble minds, does the Kuchiki family want a buy one get one free gift? Yizan shook his head and sighed. Obviously they don't dare to give gifts, they are the ones who keep secrets because of the rules, and they are the ones who are offline now. That makes sense. Zibo Kong nodded. It is indeed unlikely that the Kuchiki family would accept a young master's wife's younger sister who was born in a commoner and has no spiritual power. Yeah, so we have to talk to the younger brother Baizai first. Let's see if he wants to hide the beauty of the house, or hide the beauty of the house, or hide the beauty of the house. Why is Jinwu Zhangjiao so wretched in your tone of voice? After Zibo Heian finished speaking, she laughed when she saw Yizan's drooping face. Boy, you are arrogant now, but your future is master in the hands of this uncle. Stared at by Yizan's dark eyes, Zibo Heian couldn't smile anymore, and said, why do you look at me? I think you're stupid. Yizan chuckled. We have a good discussion, who is more joking? I feel scared. Zibo Heian turned to look at Siphon Yuan Yi in surprise, it's so fierce. If you demean you as a woman, I will be gentle with you. Yizan sneered. Let's get down to business. When I went to Kuchiki's house a few days ago, Baizai was copying his family's motto. I think it's hard to do with my sister. I was so excited to find someone, I forgot about it. Siphon Yuan Yi nodded in agreement. It's a hassle, but it's better to have spiritual power than no spiritual power. You can tell Baizai sometime and ask him what do you think. That's right, after all, it's his sister-in-law. Yizan nodded in agreement. Yeah, I don't know that little Lucia knows that her sister abandoned her because she couldn't support her. Will she resent her sister? Are you helping little brother Baizai or looking for trouble? Zibo Heian shook her head, ignoring brotherhood. It's not good, it's not good. Bah, I am raising a possibility. Take precautions before it happens. Yizan burst into blue veins. This is their family's business, let's not worry about it so far. Urahara Kazuki sighed. So, that's it. Baizai, your sister has been found. Yizan drank the tea specially provided by the Kuchiki family, and stuffed a few fruits into his mouth, seeing as I feed you and work hard for you. For my sake, pack a few more snacks for me when I'm leaving. Quote. For the little girl, Kuchiki Byakuya asked without raising his head. Yeah, give it to the little girl. Yizan nodded. Your family's dim sum is quite popular. Rukia, can I ask you to take care of it first? Me. Yizan pointed to himself in shock. Yeah. It's really embarrassing to listen to such a request. Sorry. If you make such a request, why don't I help you fight with Captain Deadwood, so I feel a little more relaxed? Because the family may not easily agree. It's normal to disagree. Not everyone likes buying one get one free. Yizan shrugged, but Rukia has spiritual power. If you become a god of death in the future, your business will not be completely lost. Buy one get one free. Trading. Byakuya Kuchiki raised his eyebrows. Is that how you treat my family? It's just an adjective, don't take it so seriously. Maybe in Liuhun Street, the god of death is a rare existence, but Jingling Court has never lacked the god of death. The old voice of Kuchiki Silver Bell sounded not far away. It's your fault, Captain Kuchiki, who discriminates against us who were born in Liuhun Street. Soul Society, we should speak with strength. Really? Kuchiki Silverling smiled. I agree with that. That's why I agree with Byakuya's willfulness, because he is strong enough. Grandpa means, if I'm stronger, you won't stop me. Rejecting your request is because it will tarnish the reputation of the Deadwood family. If there is no such 5.7 concern, I don't want to stop you. Kuchiki Silverling finished speaking. He looked at Yizan. I thought about what you said to me before. Oh. My education with King Chun and Shanghai was indeed unsuccessful, so Byakuya. I decided to indulge him a little bit. I did this until he was in the 2nd grade. Kuchiki Silverbell said, sighing breathed. After he said this, Byakuya also bowed his head in shame. A very lively young man. This is your Kuchiki family's business, I'm not interested. Yizan spread his hands. I help Baizai to speak, or find Rukia, all because he is my brother. So, I don't care what happened to the Kuchiki family. Interested. Chapter 69 _ of Jingling Court. Kuchiki Silver Suzu nodded. I suddenly understand why Yamamoto accepted you as his apprentice. You are very similar to him when he was young. Do you want to change the world? Yes. But I'll do it better and more thoroughly than him. Completely overthrow the system of the soul world, kill the Spirit King, master the power of destiny in this world. ... So, you two just follow me for a while. Yizan put his hands on his hips and looked proudly at the reluctant Asanjing Renji. If you have any opinions, it's not out of date. Of course, this sentence is only for this Yuhi hair, and little sister Rukia is an exception. What's your opinion on my hair? No opinion. It just happens that the uncle has no patience with the same sex, he only prefers girls. Yizan smiled even more proudly, and by the way reached out and rubbed Asanjing Renji's head vigorously. I know you have an opinion, but unfortunately you fight. But me, ha ha ha, quote. Asanjing Renji was caught by Yizan who couldn't resist. You wait. One day Lousy will definitely defeat you. Then I'll be waiting for you. Yizan patted Asanjing Renji on the shoulder. If you have nothing to do, you can practice with those gods of death. Rukia too, your family will take care of you for a while around me. You just stay here first, you don't have to see the outside world. You can tell me anything. Okay, thank you. Yizan nodded, and when he returned to the captain's office, he was stunned by what he saw in front of him. Sanction notice. Yizan looked at the letter raft that appeared on the table. Dongxian, what is this? It was sent by the commander-in-chief. Isn't it? I've already become the captain. What kind of punishment notice can I receive? Yizan was surprised. Could it be that the old man was so angry that I asked him to pay for the house and find trouble for me? Then this neural reflex, the arc is too long. It's been so many days. Yizan opened the envelope while muttering. As soon as he opened his eyes, a name came into view. Zuragi Kenpachi. It wasn't me. Yizan read the punishment notice over and over several times. Why did Kenpachi's punishment notice be sent to me? Probably because you are the guardian. Dongxian wanted to say. Guardian? Me? Yizan looked at Dongxian Yao in shock. Old man Yamamoto is crazy. He asked someone to talk, and the original words were, Yizan, you have to take care of Kenpachi Zakagi, I know you have a good relationship. If he is okay, he will find someone to provoke him in Junyang. If he continues, I have to do it so that neither of us satisfied decision. Single quote. The tone of imitation is good. Yizan affirmed Dongxian's ability to imitate, but he couldn't hide his surprise. What should I do with Kenpachi Zengeki? I don't know. Dongxian wanted to shake his head. He also said, Yizan, you fought Feng Chaolo before, and I paid you the fine in the end. This is such a threat. This old man Yamamoto is a threat. Could it be that if I don't take care of Kenpachi Zakagi, that guy will deduct my salary. Then how can I ask a girl out to play in the future? Insidious. Hey, a headache. Yizan also shook his head. When Yizan arrived at Mayang, Zaraki Kenpachi was dueling with several 6th grade Grim Reaper, and the crackling sound of bamboo knives could be heard far away. Isn't this quite normal? Yizan rubbed his chin in thought. The next moment, I saw Zaragi Kenpachi swept away one by one, and the man who was facing him directly flew out and slammed his head against the wall. Stopped. Okay, but it's a bit brutal. Yizan shook his head helplessly. Bachinliu, Kenpachi fights like this every day. No, it just started recently. Kaolu Bachinliu was eating the candy that Yizan brought, and his speech was slurred. He said that Yizan had gone to be the captain, and he could fight every day, and he was very bored at school. Quote. Yizan. He also said, Yizan, you were punished for fighting, so you became the captain. So he has to get a punishment for fun. He obviously misunderstood something. I didn't become the captain because of punishment. This is my strength. He said to beat these people, he went to the captain to revoke the punishment just like you did. Yizan covered his face. Am I setting a bad example for my younger brother? I don't know. I was talking to myself, I didn't ask you. Yizan sighed. On the other end, Zaraki Janba knocked his opponents to the ground one after another, and then looked at Yizan. Boss, why are you here? Old man Yamamoto asked me to educate you. Yizan felt that he sighed more in a day than in the past month. I don't care about him. Boss, I also got a punishment order. Zaragi Kenpachi scratched his hair with excitement on his face. I know, it's said that I'm here to educate you. Yizan shook his head and sighed again. Little brother, don't blame big brother, who let your big brother's salary be in the hands of the old man. Ah, Zakagi Kenpachi watched Yizan pick up the bamboo sword from the ground, and the whole person became excited. Is this going to fight me? Yizan nodded. Although it is a battle, I am actually following the instructions of old man Yamamoto to educate you. Come on then. Don't think that you can be the captain if you take the punishment. Your current strength is not enough. I can easily defeat those 6th graders. Zaragi Kenpachi looked dissatisfied. How many ghosts have you learned? Yizan raised his eyebrows. The 6th grade is nothing, but the strength of the interns, some of which are not as good as ordinary death gods. Is it interesting to defeat them? Is there anything to be proud of? Who let there be only so many people in the school? Zanaki Kenpachi looked unconvinced. If there are stronger ones, I will become stronger too. Before that, you have to have a Zanpakudo first. Yizan flicked his finger on Zaraki Kenpachi's forehead. Bah! Before Zaraki Kenpachi didn't understand what was going on, he was ejected by the sudden burst of spiritual pressure from his fingertips, and when he regained his senses, he collapsed into the debris of the wall. This is the difference in strength. The first time he and Yizan met, she knew that this person was very strong. I just didn't expect. The difference is so big. Chapter 70 _ that's what my brother uses. At this time, a few people hurried over from a distance. Yizan looked a little familiar, and when they got close, Yizan thought about who they were. Some time ago, Matsuo Ran's group, who became his own younger brother. Big brother. Miyaki Shibu stopped embarrassedly at a distance of 1 or 2 meters, and rubbed his hands awkwardly. The matter of this punishment. I am sorry. Big brother clearly asked us to take care of Kenpachi, but we didn't do it. Yizan looked at the bruises on their faces that had not yet dissipated, and turned to look at Kenpachi Zengi. He fought. Yi Xuanchang compared the direction of Kenpachi Zengeki. Those people were silent. So many people can't beat a Zaragi Kenpachi, it's a bit too embarrassing to say it, it's really hard to tell. In the end, Shizuo Miyaki nodded embarrassedly, and responded hesitantly. Yes. Yizan's sharp eyes were fixed on Zengi Kenpachi. I knew this guy was a fighting maniac, but I didn't expect that he would not let go of such a very, very, very weak person. Ordinary people don't care. If he hits, he hits. But these few are his own little brothers, and internal fighting is not a good atmosphere. What's more, the rabbit doesn't eat the grass on the edge of the nest. This guy can even start with such a weak person who is not challenging at all. When Yizan was angry, he forgot one thing. Although for him, Miyaki Shibuya and Nan Naya are also very weak types, but for Kenpachi, who is still in his student days, there are also geniuses, big and small. The famous Nan Naya is actually a big challenge. At the very least, Kenpachi Zaraki had done a lot of work in order to defeat Nanaya also. But he didn't expect this. He only felt that Zakagi Kenpachi was bullying his companions, and he was thinking about how to teach him a lesson. At least let him know that his subordinates can't fight infightingly like this. At this moment, Zengi Jonpachi was stared at by Yizan's eyes, and he felt as if he was being stared at by something terrifying, so he quickly explained. It's them who messed up. It's not my fault. Missing. Yizan raised his eyebrows. Every time I ask someone to challenge, they have to run out to stop me. I get itchy hands. Zakagi Kenpachi felt a little guilty at first, so he let go, rubbing his head and laughing. So, in order not to let them stop you, you took action against them. Yizan glanced at the 6th graders who were still lying on the ground and couldn't get up, and gestured with his eyes to Nan Nia and the others to send them to the doctor room. Do you think I'm strong? The corners of Zengmu Jonpachi's mouth moved slightly, thinking that he was easily beaten out by Yizan just now, and he was speechless. But it was just one finger poking like this, and he actually flew upside down. This is not only strong and can be described as strong. If you don't know that your strength is still too far, I really want to challenge it. Very strong, very strong. Then have you ever seen my 10-10 fight someone who is especially weak to me? Zaraki Kenpachi shook his head, no. So, what's the point of you fighting with these people? You want to be punished as a captain. Yizan walked into Zaraki Kenpachi and stretched out his hand. It's impossible, with your current strength, Captain Lee, this level is too high. Far. If your goal is only to be a player under a captain, then you can apply for graduation now. Even if you don't even have a Zanpakudo, it won't be a problem. Ordinary Reaper won't be very strong anyway. Zaraki Kenpachi groaned in disappointment. From the very beginning, he held the idea that even if he couldn't be the captain, he could be the god of death first, and then he could fight against people of equal strength every day and enjoy the hearty feeling. Now he actually told him that the god of death is also very weak. This is a little different from what he imagined. It won't be strong. How weak is it? It's just a little bit stronger than you just shot one by one. Maybe. Yizan shrugged. Anyway, it's the level where I can kill one with one move. False level. Giant Huo. Zaragi Kenpachi frowned, but these people in the school are too weak. That's because you didn't find a strong one. A flash of light flashed in Yizan's mind. For example, I know that there is a good one in the 4th grade. Who? Zaragi Kenpachi suddenly came to his senses. It's called Ichimaru Silver, and his eyes are also very good. Yizan smiled, squinting like a fox. Ichimaru Silver, I remember him. Yeah, that stinky boy always follows behind Luan Jusong. Let Kenpachi go and meet him well, ha ha ha. The guy who is entangled with Kenpachi Zaraki will be annoyed to death if he is not beaten. So, does he still have the Kung Fu 10-10 to entangle the chrysanthemum? I am so witty. I have to think of a way to let him know that Luan Jusong is not something he can get close to. That fox-faced guy. However, Yizan also looks like a fox now. Kaolu Bachinliu sucked the candy and made a piercing voice as he spoke. You laugh like a fox, do you have a fox face too? Seeing that Bachinliu was a girl and a milk doll in the past, Yizan had never spoken loudly to her, so he couldn't help it. What man can tolerate being compared to a rival in love? Not even an expression. Although that rival is not a rival now. Yizan looked at Bachinliu seriously. Don't talk nonsense, it's scary when I'm angry. Kaolu Bachinliu can survive in a chaotic place like the 79th district of Liuhun Street. Not to mention his strength, he has the ability to seek advantages and avoid disadvantages. She screamed and ran to Zanaki Kenpachi. Kenpachi. It's scary. Even though he ran so fast, he was holding the big bag of candy in his hand but didn't fall. Ah, Zaragi Kenpachi scratched his hair. The boss is scary, and you didn't know it the first time. People are scared. Kaoru Yachinryu stomped his feet exaggeratedly, and hid his whole body behind Zengmu Janpachi. Chapter 71_Ichimaru Silver. It's creepy. Yizan snorted coldly. In short, that's the way it is. In the future, you will find those strong enough to challenge Kenpachi. Attention. It's a challenge. It's not a fight. Like this, you knock one down with one move. Classmates, you can't bully them. Okay. Zaragi Kenpachi nodded. Is it true that punishment can't be a captain? Impossible. Stop dreaming. Yizan interrupted him coolly. When you defeat Ichimaru Silver, I will assign you other tasks. ... Ah. Silver, who was in class, sneezed violently and rubbed his nose suspiciously. Is this someone missing me? Dream. Matsumoto Ranju let out a disdainful snort. It's so cold. How did I make you angry? No. Matsumoto Ranju turned his head. You are too obvious. Ichimaru Silver was helpless. What's wrong? Is someone molesting you? No. At this time, Ichimaru Silver didn't know that he had already provoked one of the most difficult men in the Soul Society, Zaraki Kenpachi. Not the strongest, but the most persistent, and also a fighting maniac. The challenge is calculated by the number of 3 meals a day. ... So, why on earth are you pestering me? Ichimaru Silver looked at Kenpachi Zakagi with a big face. I'm really busy and have no time to fight with you. Are you afraid? Zaragi Kenpachi looked at Ichimaru Silver. Ichimaru Silver's face froze, and the expression on the fox's face was frozen for several seconds. Don't be afraid. Then let's have a fight, said Zaragi Kenpachi. I said no to fight. No fight. Ichimaru Silver stepped back, and the meaning of refusal was very obvious. You coward, are you afraid? Zaragi Kenpachi defiantly raised his bamboo sword and pointed it at Ichimaru Silver's face. Who's afraid of you, barbarian? Ichimaru Silver still had that smile on his face, turned around and left. Stop, Zaragi Kenpachi yelled behind him. Go find someone else to play with, I'm not free. Really? The corners of Zanaki Kenpachi's mouth rose, revealing a murderous smile on his face. Is the person I liked by Zanaki Kenpachi the one you want to leave? When the words fell, he dodged and blocked Ichimaru Silver's way. So persistent. Ichimaru Silver's narrowed eyes opened slightly. But, why should I listen to you? As the words fell, Zaragi Kenpachi's eyes flashed, and Ichimaru Silver's figure had already appeared 1 meter away. Can't catch me. Ichimaru Silver proudly glanced back at Kenpachi Zakagi who was still there. You haven't figured it out yet. Among the people I've met, the ones who run away are the most. Zaragi Kenpachi smiled and raised the bamboo sword. So, if I'm not good at catching people who run away, how can I? Shouldn't it be impossible to fight? Ichimaru Silver looked at Kenpachi Zakagi who had already pulled away and chased after him in surprise. It doesn't seem to be talking nonsense, the speed is really fast. That's natural, after all, I am the one who prepares for battle every day in order to defeat the boss. Zaragi Kenpachi looked at Ichimaru Silver, who was close at hand. The boss said, you are very strong, so my closest the goal is to beat you. Quote. Okay, then I lost, can I pass now? Ichimaru Silver still looked like he didn't want to do anything. As a man, how can you admit defeat so easily? Zaragi Kenpachi roared in dissatisfaction, and swung it down. Brush. The sound of the bamboo knife breaking through the air was crisp and loud, so it could be seen that this move didn't release any water. But, it didn't hit. Zaraki Kenpachi looked at the place where the bamboo knife slashed in surprise. Ran away. The thought flashed across his mind for a moment, and the next moment, there was a slight sound of landing from behind. Swish. Zaraki Kenpachi didn't look back, the knife had already swung over. Missed, it made a sound. Ichimaru Silver's annoyed voice sounded from behind, and then the sound of the fabric rubbing while dodging. I found you. Zaragi Kenpachi showed a smug smile, waving the knife in his hand quickly. As the noise they made became louder and louder, the number of onlookers gradually increased. Because Zaraki Kenpachi asked someone to challenge him some time ago, he is also very famous now. Coupled with his tall stature and needle-like hairstyle, almost everyone in the center knows Akatsuki's existence. Look, it's Zaragi Kenpachi and Ichimaru Silver fighting. In the corridor, a boy pointed out the window where Zaraki Kenpachi and Ichimaru Silver were standing, his tone full of excitement. The classmates in the corridor immediately surrounded the window when they heard this. Fighting so hard. Quick, so fast. I didn't know it before. So Ichimaru Silver is so powerful. Yeah, it's always elusive. I didn't expect the strength to be so strong. Ranju, aren't you on good terms with Ichimaru Silver? Did you know he is so powerful? Matsumoto Ranku, who was pulled over by a classmate, looked at the figure of Ichimaru Silver and Zaragi Kenpachi fighting outside the window, and a trace of sadness flashed in his eyes. I don't know him as well as you think. Silver, who was fighting with Zaragi Kenpachi, looked up at where Ranju was, and then turned his gaze back after a while. I really don't like opponents who desert in battle. It's as if you look down on me. Zaragi Kenpachi's reiki surrounded him. Don't think about running away, let's have a good fight. I didn't think about running away just now. Ichimaru Silver opened his eyes and looked at Kenpachi's akagi. Snapped. The bamboo sword collided in midair, and Zaragi Kenpachi opened his eyes wide and looked at Ichimaru Silver in surprise. I can't see how you, who are so slender, can actually catch my knife. Ah, I'm really sorry, Ichimaru Silver said without any apology. However, only a strong enough opponent will make me excited. The bamboo sword in Kenpachi's hand didn't stop. Sure enough, it's not wrong to listen to the boss. I heard you say the boss so many times, I'm curious now who is that boss? Ichimaru Silver's blade slid across Kenpachi's chest. Although it was only a bamboo sword, the spiritual power wrapped around the blade could easily pierce a pear. Your so-called boss, is that Yi-zan? Ah, yes. Zaragi Kenpachi nodded. It's him. Chapter 72_Blue Dye Door. Aizen, Vice Captain. Yi-zan raised his eyebrows and looked at Aizen, Yusuke, who came to visit, rare guest. Isn't our personal friendship pretty good? Captain Yi-zan's words sound like they mean something. Is there? Yi-zan raised his eyebrows. Aizen Yusuke came to push his glasses, and a white light flashed across the mirror surface. Maybe yes, maybe not. Okay, then tell me, what are you doing here? Yi-zan motioned for him to sit down. Aizen nodded, closed the door with her hand, and said, Ichimaru Silver said that your little brother is especially targeting him. Ichimaru Silver. Yi-zan was a little surprised and secretly said, so Ichimaru Silver was already mixed with Aizen at this time. Doesn't that mean that Matsumoto Ranju's soul has been taken away by Aizen? Matsumoto Rankiku complimented by Ichimaru Silver's spirit. This relationship is a bit more complicated. Ichimaru Silver. Is he familiar with Vice Captain Aizen? Yi-zan pretended not to know anything and looked at Aizen inquiringly. Aizen's Vice Captain uses honorific titles to me, I'm really not used to it. After all, it's one level worse, so honorific title is essential. At this time, if he really surrendered to himself, he should have revealed his plans and everything, right? If it is just hypocritical surrender and wants to deceive himself, then let him disappear after making a complete collapse. Although he didn't know what Yi-zan was thinking, Aizen Yusuke still felt that he couldn't lie. The eyes that looked at him seemed to know everything, making people swallow the lies that came to their mouths. What a terrible man. Because I found him to be very talented, I'm going to train him. After saying that, Aizen Yusuke smiled and shook his head. He doesn't know what I'm doing, and he is a difficult person to control. Didn't Captain Yizan also notice this, so he asked Kenpachi to challenge him. Didn't lie, but didn't tell at all. Sure enough, he is a good deceiver. No, the reason I let Kenpachi haunt him is not to train him. On the contrary, what do you train him for? She doesn't seem like a man to control. Yizan raised his eyebrows and looked at Lanran. Will you tell the truth? For a clever subordinate like Aizen, if he lost one, he would feel a pity. After all, there are not many people with that kind of mind. The power of the god of death comes from the spiritual sun, so my idea is to collect enough spiritual suns in the body of the god of death, and use these spiritual suns to create a substance that can give people power. Aizen was looked at by his eyes feeling guilty. He didn't hesitate to reveal his findings. After speaking, he broke out in a cold sweat. This was originally his secret, and he didn't plan to tell anyone. The idea is very good. Yizan nodded with satisfaction, affirming Aizen's knowledge. The purpose of my power is to defeat the Spirit King, so I need to find out the location of the Spirit King Palace. In this case, just one person is not enough. So I need help. With the strength of Ichimaru Silver, I will be able to achieve it in time. Captain rank. Is that so? Yizan nodded. However, it is Kenpachi's own decision to fight him. I just gave him a few words. After all, he harmed dozens of students in Junyang every day, and I was also very distressed. Originally, it was Mao that he harmed, and it had nothing to do with me. But old man Yamamoto left this to me to deal with. Helplessly spread out his hands, Yizan sighed. I am now like a nanny in Jingling Court. I have taken in 2 troublesome children, and I am also in charge of managing the behavior of Zaraki Kenpachi and Kusaka Yakiryu. I am also very embarrassed. You mean? Aizen's eyes were full of shock. So I can only sacrifice Ichimaru Silver alone. Yizan laughed heartlessly, changing his helpless look just now. Let him practice with Zengi Kenpachi. The strength of the two of them should not be the same. It will be far away, and we can improve by learning from each other. Isn't it good? Aizen Usuke was speechless. So, you don't need to worry about the sparring between them. If you can't handle even this trivial matter, what do you need this little brother to do? You're right, Aizen Usuke nodded. Then, if there is nothing else, I'll take my leave. Wait a minute, Yizan stopped him. Who said there is no more? How is your recent research progress? I am studying the fusion of death and hollow, Aizen Usuke said without reservation. This. Yizan was still a little interested in this. Blindness, but one of Kurosaki Ichigo's big moves, is the one that makes him invincible once he becomes virtualized, and his combat power is multiplied countless times. Are you interested? I-dyed Usuke's glasses flashed again. Yeah, I'm a little bit interested. Yizan did not deny it. You study this because the god of death and Shu will become especially powerful after the fusion. After my experiments in the virtual circle, even if it is a Shinigami with ordinary combat power, the combat power will be doubled after the fusion of the virtual. No, twice. This direction is very good. Yizan nodded. Aizenwu Yusuke was not happy because of Yizan's affirmation, but sighed. However, in the end, all the gods of death who merged with emptiness lost their minds. The general direction is right, and it will always work out in the end. Come on. I borrow your good words. I always feel like you know everything. Aizen said tentatively, if you have any suggestions, you might as well tell me directly, which may speed up the progress of the research. There is no suggestion. After all, I am not a scientific research talent. This aspect is your major. Occasionally compliment the younger brother, so that they will go all out for themselves. However, Urahara Kazuki is also very strong in scientific research. You said, will he think of anything you can think of? A light flashed in Yizan's eyes. People who stand at the forefront of the same field always have similar ideas. Yes, just like me and you, both are very interested in the Reiwang Palace. Then, are you and Urahara Kazuki interested in the same substance? Chapter 73 _ Absent at Night. Yeah, the research speed of 2 people is always faster than that of 1 person. Aizen Yusuke showed a clear expression. I understand. Yizan nodded. Also, don't tell your subordinates about me. Don't let anyone discover my existence. Aizen looked at Yizan in surprise. After all, I'm on the side of justice. I see. Aizen nodded. We are indeed similar. Work hard, I'll give you what you want. Everything. Yizan patted Aizen's shoulder solemnly. Imagine, one day in the future, everyone in Jingling Court will find out how shocked and unbelievable they will be when they find out that they have been deceived by the honest man Aizen. Then I'll be as unbelievable as they are. But in the end, they found out that I was the real mastermind. That shocked, unbelievable look. Then, will they choose to continue to follow me, or to be my enemy? Really been waiting. Lan Ran adjusted her glasses. Suddenly I feel sympathy for your other subordinates. Yizan smiled. Really, I also sympathize with the 5th Division's trust in your captain and players. Each other. Now, let me ask you a question. What? Dong Xian Yao, is it yours now? Aizen looked at Yizan in surprise. How did you find out? Secret. Are you also interested in him? Aizen has a somewhat ominous premonition. The 2 most important subordinates have already been entangled in one, so the other can't escape the clutches. It's a little. Don't worry, it won't affect your affairs, but life is too boring, you need to find some adjustments. I see. Aizen nodded. Yizan looked at the newly dressed Kuchiki family. Rukia, I'll take you to see your family later, don't run around. Yeah, Rukia pulled Yizan's yori tightly. It's so good. Yizan casually touched her head. Yo, Yizan, it's really early. Jingle Chunshui greeted from a distance. Lisa Yahomaru was behind him and nodded to Yizan. Captain Yizan. Miss Lisa is still as beautiful. Yizan greeted Lisa Yazumaru with a smile on his face, then turned his head and nodded lightly to Jingle Chunshui. It's not too late, leader of the Jing band, are you in a hurry to have a drink? It's heartbreaking differential treatment. Jingle Chunshui made an exaggerated gesture of holding his heart in both hands. I said a long time ago that as long as you put your coat on, I'll treat you like a woman. I'll do what I say. The brisk tone stuck in Jingle Chunshui's heart like a needle. Miss Lisa, do you think this kid is going too far? Captain, I think what he said is quite reasonable. Lisa Yahomaru pushed her glasses. It's not good to be blocked at the door of other people's houses like this. It's so sad. Jingle Chunshui clutched his chest, and with a glance, he saw Rukia who was hiding halfway behind Yizan. Yo, is this your gift? Well, yes. Yizan nodded. Eldest sister Yi hasn't come over yet. I'm wondering if I should bring Rukia in first. In this case, isn't the credit for me alone? If that's the case, you don't have to wait, just go in. Huh. She won't come. Jingle Chunshui pushed the hat and showed an inexplicable smile. This is a wedding that is not recognized by the nobles. I may not be able to send it. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. I'll leave it to you for things like gifts. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. How is this possible? Close black lens bracket. I see that your mind is full of these useless things. Because of the position of the Saifeng Yuan family, I will pay half of the gift you want to give. Close black lens bracket. I see, I understand. Yizan nodded. Then, Uncle Jingle, Miss Lisa, this little girl will be handed over to you for the time being. Her name is Rukia. Miss Lisa, don't let the uncle bully the little girl. Lowly. Lisa Yahomaru looked at Yizan suspiciously. What do you want? What? Let's go. Jingle Chunshui looked at Rukia who was left alone and looked a little dazed. It's actually a kind and righteous man. Ah, friendship. Then, Miss Lisa, let's go for them. Let's have a drink of friendship. You go by yourself. This wedding is destined to be deserted. Who can I find a drink? Let's wait for Captain Fukutake to come too. That guy can't drink. You can watch him drink. Little Lisa, you are too much. ... Is your captain here? Yizan stepped into the secret mobile team's territory and grabbed a masked man hurriedly passing by. Not in. There will be a price for lying to me. Are you sure? Yizan looked into his eyes. It will be miserable. Gudong. The man swallowed in horror and shook his head desperately. What a disobedient guy. I can. Yizan turned his head to avoid a sidekick. He grabbed the man's ankle with his hand back. It's very slender. It's a woman. Sister, where is Yi Yi? Is Lord Yi's name a taboo for someone like you to be called? It's so arrogant. Yizan let go of his hand holding her ankle, turned around and embraced her in his arms. The waist is very thin, and the figure is good. 1.3 feet's eyes, which were exposed outside the black mask, were full of anger. Since you've got the compliment you want, then tell me where Yi Yi is. Yi Dai doesn't want to see anyone. What a loyal child, Yizan said with emotion. Secret mobile team, woman, loyal to Yi Yi. If you can't guess the identity of this person, isn't it too stupid? Broken B. I don't know that a loyal child like you, Yi Yi, will feel distressed. Yizan whispered in her ear, I'm sorry, I never bully girls, but today I'm going to make an exception. Nope. It's hard, please be patient. The almost materialized light blue Reiki suddenly burst out, sweeping the entire area like a whirlwind. Chapter 74 had to come forward. That guy, Sifeng Yuan frowned at night, the ghost is still there. I have already explained it, it is a matter of position. Regardless of him, does he still dare to demolish this place? Resting his chin with one hand, Sifeng Yuan Yi Yi knocked on the table again and again. The next moment, her leisure and pride were all dispelled by the words of her subordinates. Your Excellency, Legion Commander, Broken Bee was caught by the captain of the 10th Division. A black figure entered the room where she was, and knelt down and said. Broken Bee. Sifeng Yuan frowned at night, this is troublesome. No, this Reiatsu. Sifeng Yuan Yi is very clear about the strength of Broken Bee, facing this level of spiritual pressure. Is completely impossible. It's really insidious. Sifeng Yuan sneered and disappeared in a blink of an eye. I'm here, let go of the bees. Sifeng Yuan Yi 30 looked at the Broken Bee, who was in the middle of the spiritual pressure, and had lost his mind and couldn't move, and was furious. Aren't you not doing anything to women? That kind of thing also depends on the situation. Yizan threw the Broken Bee to Sifeng Yuan Yi without changing his face. Who told you to bully Brother Bai Zai? I am also very helpless. I have already explained this to you. I don't accept it. Yizan looked at Sifeng Yuan Yi who was hugging Broken Bee. Just like you feel sorry for that little girl, I also feel sorry for Bai Zai. Distressed, Yi turned around and handed Broken Bee to others. Since he has made a choice, he should know what consequences he needs to bear. Just marrying a woman. Yeah, it's just marriage. I've already delivered the gift, but no one can be there. Sifeng Yuan Yi smiled and looked at Yizan. Please explain to me and Brother Bai Zai, he will understand. What if I insist that you go? Yizan raised his eyebrows. Even if it is tied, I will tie you over. You look down on yourself too much. Even in the Uzumaki formed by Yizan Lingya, Sifeng Yuan Yi's expression was not reluctant. Isn't this kind of thing only useful to children? Ah, I think so too, but once the spiritual pressure is released, it can't be taken back easily. Yizan smiled, although it's a bit embarrassing, let's do it like this. Do you think that I let you down in the past, and you can defeat me now? Sifeng Yuan Yi's mouth raised a sarcastic arc. I used to let you down, didn't you realize that? But, Yizan's figure flickered, and he reached out and grabbed Sifeng Yuan Yi, and she escaped in a thrilling way. Why don't you think that I didn't do my best? After all, it's just a joke, no people will do their best. Under the horrified expression on Yi's face in Sifeng courtyard, Yizan moved one move after another, and his speed was so fast that Yi, who was also known as an instant god, felt a little reluctant. Snapped. Sifeng Yuan Yi was shocked to cover the shoulder that was hit. Sure enough, it was hidden before. She looked at Yi Zan with emotion. Now, I'm a little curious, what exactly is your strength? But I'm in a hurry now. Although there is still more than an hour before the auspicious time, we have to speed up, don't you think? You can't be the last to arrive when it comes to drinking wedding wine. Ah, it makes sense to say so. Sifeng Yuan smiled, and the spiritual pressure began to condense on his body, so you should go back soon. My present, Rukia is not the only one. Boom. Yi Zan's fist hit the ground, and the cracked pattern spread on the rock-paved ground. You're going too far. The maintenance cost is very high. Sifeng Yuan Yi looked at the pit in distress. I don't want you to give it to Bai Zai as a gift, a third party like this. It's embarrassing. ... Ah, this Reiki. Jingle Chunshui raised a glass to Shuru Shuru. Young brother Yi Zan is actually on the front line with Princess Yi. You are very courageous. I never thought he was timid, Yukitaki Shuru said. Indeed, it's absolutely impossible for a person to be cowardly against the old man Yamamoto. Jingle Chunshui sighed. I just didn't expect that he would quarrel with Sifeng Yuan over this matter. Well, what about Miss Rukia, who he asked us to take care of? Although I asked, to take care of it, I've always taken care of me. Liza Yahomaru pushed her glasses. I feel very troubled by the distressed tone of the captain. After being demolished by Lisa Yahomaru, Jingle Chunshui snorted embarrassedly. There are more people here than I thought. Oh, Captain Hirako is also here. Didn't you say it's just a gift? Because Yi Zan went to look for Princess Yi to single out, everyone knows. Pingzi Junzi covered her face. Between fighting and drinking wedding wine, there is always a choice to make. It would be very embarrassing if he killed him. Feng Chao Lujiro said. Little brother Yi Zan is so scary. Jingle Chunshui laughed. His eyes flashed. Why didn't we make a bet, brother Yi Zan and Yi Song, who wins and who loses? The vice captains will also guess together. Guess. It must be the captain of Sifeng Academy. After all, the strength is there. Hu Qianyan said with a face full of admiration. But Yi Zan is also very strong. Feng Chao Lujiro said. When they finish fighting, maybe the wedding is over. Captain Yi Zan will win. Aizen Wusuk said affirmatively, but the captain of Sifeng Yuan will not necessarily lose. Not necessarily and definitely, this is already a big gap. Jingle Chunshui looked at Aizen's Wusuk. Captain Aizen is very sure of Yi Zan's strength. It's not an affirmation of Captain Yi Zan's strength, but, captain of Sifeng Yuan, he should also want to attend the wedding of the young master of the Deadwood family. After all, we have always had a good relationship. It makes sense. Jingle Chunshui touched his stubble chin. It's very possible to push the boat along the way. Chapter 75_Push the boat. Secret Mobile Squad. 2 figures, one black and one white, are chasing after me in the square. Once they meet, a huge vortex will be set off from the collision of spiritual pressure. The spiritual power thrown out with the body movements during the battle is even more smashed. I don't know how many flowers. Hastily. A group of masked men in black hid in the corner to peek at the battle between Yi Zan and Sifeng Yuan Yi, and their eyes widened. The captain of the 10th Division. He's amazing. Yeah, it's on the same level as the Legion commander. The speed is so fast that you can't see it clearly. The commander of the army has the title of Shun God. Who is he? I heard that Mao was appointed captain before he graduated. Noble. It's not a noble, it's from the Street of Souls. Unbelievable, the people of Liuhun Street have such aptitude. Shut up. Broken Bee looked at the direction where Sifeng Yuan Yi and Yi Zan were fighting not far away. Kiba closed his mouth tightly, and his eyes showed anger mixed with fear. When she thought that she was so frightened by that person's outburst of Reiatsu just now that she didn't even dare to move, she was so angry that she wanted to punch herself a few times. It seems like a mountain that can never be climbed stands before me. I'm just too weak. Master Yi won't lose, Broken Bee said bitterly. Of course we believe this, we just want to say that this Yizan is quite powerful, but he can't be stronger than the corps commander. Ah, the man who spoke widened his eyes and stared at him with an expression of disbelief, two figures not far away. At this time, they had stopped, and the battle seemed to have come to an end. Stop fighting, then come with me, we're still in a hurry. Yizan grabbed Yi Yi's wrist and smiled smugly, you can't run anyway. I just find it boring to run around. Yi Yi was quite helpless at the moment. Everyone had a good relationship at first, and they were not at the level of throwing a knife and throwing a ghost. It was enough to get rid of him, but this guy's speed is not slow, so he couldn't get rid of him. Why are there such difficult people in this world? She wiped the sweat from her forehead from the strenuous exercise. I'll tell you again, as the head of the Sci-Fi Academy, it's not convenient to go. Why is it inconvenient? I'm afraid your subordinates will have opinions. Yizan snorted coldly, with a very disdainful expression on his face. Tell me, why are you acting like a boss? Why do you still listen to your subordinates? Siphon Yuan Yi Yi curled his lips. What do you know? As the head of the Siphon Yuan family, one of the four great nobles, I have to set an example for other lower-level nobles. That's right, it seems like there really is something. Yizan burst out laughing. Don't talk about this. Anyway, you have been caught by me. You have to go. If you don't go, you have to go. As soon as he said this, Yi Yi still didn't react, but Broby couldn't bear it any longer. The momentary anger even overwhelmed his fear of Yizan, and he rushed out immediately. How dare you speak to Lord Yi like this? Yizan tilted his head to avoid the fist of the broken bee, raised his foot and kicked it without pity. Hey, even though I've always been kind to women, I still don't like others interrupting what I'm going to do. So, although I'm sorry, it's something I can't do. Miss Broken Bee. Yizan turned his head to look at Yi Yi again. Eldest sister, you should be able to understand, right? Yizan. Yizan looked at her shaky eyes, smiled slightly, and whispered in her ear, it's fine if you are kidnapped by me, so no one will blame you. You can also attend Bai Zai's wedding. Yes, isn't it perfect? Yi Yi was stunned by his sudden thought. Seeing that she didn't speak, Yizan tacitly agreed that she agreed. Then let's go. What a joke, trying to take her away in front of so many of us regardless of the wishes of the Legionnaire. Broken Bee got up from the gravel. What are you doing? Do you want to watch this man run wild here? As soon as she finished speaking, hundreds of black-clothed and masked figures appeared out of nowhere. All these are meant to stop me. Yizan let go of Yi Yi's wrist and put it on her shoulder. Yi Yi, don't move, I'll help you teach your disobedient subordinates a lesson. Hello. Siphon Yuan Yi didn't even have time to stop it. Yizan's figure had disappeared in front of his eyes like a phantom. Unable to bear to look directly, he turned his head, and Siphon Yuan Yi unexpectedly heard a series of ping-ping-ping-pong sounds. I knew that I couldn't beat it, but I rushed up, really. Taking advantage of the moment when Yizan and the others were fighting, Broken Bee rushed up. Lord Knight. Broken Bee. Siphon Yuan Yi sighed helplessly. Why are you so stubborn? Go back and rest, I'll just take a walk with Yizan. Master Yi. Broken Bee showed a disapproving expression. Siphon Yuan Yi reached out and rubbed her head vigorously. It's okay, I wanted to go a little bit. Thank you for your hard work. Then I'll go with Lord Yi. Siphon Yuan Yi looked at the stubborn expression on the face of the bee, and was embarrassed. This Knight Master. If she wants to follow, let her follow. In a hurry, go. Yizan straightened Yuri without any messy body. However, eldest sister Yi, your subordinates still need to train well, they are too weak. You. Broken Bee glared at Yizan angrily, but Yi reluctantly stopped him again. Little brother Yizan, you are going too far today. I can't help it. When I think that Bai Zai is already married and I'm still single, I'm a little bit stuck. Jealous. Yi raised his eyebrows. I'm very happy that you didn't show up for Bai Zai. This kind of thing comes down to one code. There are not many girls who have an ambiguous relationship with you. Just say which one you want to marry, and no one should be unwilling. Your little valet is good, for me. Yizan grinned wickedly and looked at the vigilant Brogue. I like the little cat-like eyes. It's a bit too much to tease Broken Bee in front of me. Chapter 76_Sisters Meet. Yo, Yi Song tilde. Jingle Chunshui raised his hand and waved at Yi who walked in. The captain of the Saifeng Academy is here. Hu Qiangyan couldn't hide his surprise. She was very sure that Yizan would not find Yizan in Saifeng Yuan. Seeing it was believing, but she felt a little unbelievable. The captain of the 2nd Division, who also serves as the commander-in-chief of stealth maneuvers, and has the name of a god, will be caught. This kind of thing shouldn't happen at all. Could it be that, as Captain Aizen had analyzed, she also wanted to attend Kuchiki Byakuya's wedding, but because of her status, she couldn't come, so she was caught by the trend. That's wrong, it should be the captain of Saifeng Yuan. Aikawa Luowu said. Pingzi Junzi came over and patted Yizan on the shoulder. It's really good. Aikawa Luowu gave him a contemptuous look. You are absolutely gloating, it's too obvious. Hiriko Mako glared back. Then what do you mean when you say these words? I should be serious. You guys are here too. Yi looked around and found a random seat to sit down. Although the unconscious younger brother Yizan will come to arrest us 183 like he is arresting you, but I am still very curious. Anyway, I have received the invitation card, so I came to see it. Hiriko Mako said. Broken Bee has been following Saifeng Yuan Yi since just now, and she will kneel respectfully and respectfully sit half a foot behind her. Hearing the teasing tone of everyone, he suddenly becomes angry. She had just been attacked by Yizan's spiritual pressure directly, and she had not recovered from this. Her face was pale, but she still insisted and said, Talent is not what you think. As soon as he finished speaking, the room was eerily silent. Broken Bee, they are both captains and vice captains, and their ranks are higher than yours. Do you think it's appropriate to talk like this? Master Yi. Broken Bee lowered his head. Everyone is just joking, don't take it seriously. Yi sighed and rubbed the bee's head. It's a bit embarrassing after all, just adjust the atmosphere. Drink and drink. Jingle Chunshui raised his glass. I wonder what Mr. Kuchiki's bride looks like. Isn't it particularly beautiful? A beautiful woman. My sister is sitting right behind you, won't you look back by yourself? Lisa Yahomaru said coolly. Jingle Chunshui looked embarrassed when he heard this. It's impossible to look exactly the same. I'll know when I see you. ... Come here. It really looks like it. Toru Yuyan looked at Rukia and then at Heejin. These are definitely sisters. Rukia has been following Yizan since he came back, and when she heard this, she also looked over there. She was stunned when she saw it. It turns out that there are really two people in this world who look so alike. That's your sister, the one next to her is your future brother-in-law. It's your brother-in-law now. Yizan patted Rukia's head. You are my gift to them. Rukia nodded knowingly, and suddenly asked again, will you eat me? Don't you know that those words are deceiving you? Yizan looked at her amusingly. Otherwise, steamed yuhi, grilled raw cut, you can choose any way to eat it. Just kidding. Rukia thought for a while, then said sternly, I don't know if my sister will like me, or... She actually found the wrong person, so what should I do? Seeing how similar you look to her, it's impossible to find the wrong person. Yizan dragged Rukia out from behind and posed for the Kuchiki Byakuya couple who were looking over. This posture is like a pet store selling kittens and puppies. Yizan shook his head, throwing away the unrealistic thoughts in his mind. In other words, Feijun in a pure white dress is quite beautiful. It's just the octopus heads of the two sisters that are really hard to compliment. Yizan gave Baizai a smug look in Feijun's grateful eyes, and said with his mouth, thank me. Kuchiki Byakuya nodded slightly, his eyes swept to the helpless Yishi not far away, and he was obviously stunned. ... Why are you here? After the ceremony, Kuchiki Byakuya took Hygiene straight to the room where the captains were. Feijun took Rukia's hand and looked left and right, while he looked at Sefenjin Yaiki who was drinking with Jingle Chunchui. Why are you looking at me? You ask your good brother. This guy tied me up. Yi pointed at Yizan, almost torn down my place. Don't say that, I just want Bai Zai to have no regrets. Yizan said lightly. He worked hard for his younger brother, and finally hid his merits and fame. Lao Su is so great. It's all right now, I'm going to be told by those old men and ladies again when I go back, it's all Yizan's fault. Siphon Yuan Yi scratched his hair with a headache. Thank you. Bai Zai looked at Yizan. Well, really good. Yizan nodded with satisfaction. On the other side. I want to stay in the 10th division. Rukia bowed her head and declined Hyjin's invitation to live with him. Do you blame me because I abandoned you before? No, because I think the 10th team is very good, everyone takes care of me and Renji, and the captain is also very interesting. But I'm your sister. Fei-Jen's sad expression couldn't be concealed. The Kuchiki family is an aristocrat, a noble life. I don't think I might be able to adapt. Rukia looked at the face that was 89% similar to herself. During the time she lived in the 10th division, she knew a lot of things, including how Kuchiki Byakuya was able to marry Fei-Jun despite all the opinions, and how unblessed this marriage was. If you add me, my sister's life in Kuchiki's house should be more difficult. Rukia looked up at Yizan's back. He was talking to Byakuya Kuchiki, and the bright candlelight gilded his short black hair with a golden fringe. Powerful and gentle. That's Bai Zai's friend, right? Fei-Jen followed her gaze. Team 10 captain. Been discovered. Rukia quickly lowered her head and nodded after a while, yes. Chapter 77_heavy task. What is this? The first task. Yizan took the task list handed over by Yamamoto Shigekuni, lead Junyang College to go to the virtual circle for an internship. The 12th division recently monitored and found that the number of large virtual circles has increased, and it needs to be cleaned up regularly. I lead the team. Yamamoto Shigekuni nodded. Is there any requirement? Kill a few phantoms, phantom species or something. 100 killion, the rest is optional. The main purpose is to train the students. Don't put the cart before the horse. This sounds very hard. Yizan frowned. I won't look for you if you don't work hard. Yamamoto Shigekuni sneered. After demolishing dozens of houses in Jingling Court, I went to the hidden mobile team to make trouble. Your salary is not enough to compensate for these. Yizan looked at Yamamoto Shigekuni speechlessly. Okay, I understand. The day after tomorrow, right? I won't be late. ... 10th division. Ah, a headache. Yizan sat on the steps with his head propped up, looking at Rukia and Renji who were practicing swordsmanship with the Shinigami. Don't they have to go to Mao to go to school? Because he couldn't see, Dong Xian, who seldom did anything other than fighting, also sat next to Yizan. Junyang will be out of school in half a month. Except for the 5th and 6th grades, the other grades are preparing for practice in the virtual circle. Exams, even if they enroll now, there is nothing in the school to teach them. Quote. I have the feeling that I am not the captain of Godai 13, but the teacher of Junyang. Yizan glanced at the team members who were having fun with the two children. Is this a nursery school? Why did Byakuya's wife's sister have to be brought to me? What is? Rukia feels unsuitable for Kuchiki's life and prefers the 10th division. Has she lived in Kuchiki's house even for a day? Yizan scratched his hair hard. Just Rukia, forget it. It's a girl after all, but, what is that haired brat? He's Rukia's friend. Dong Xian wanted to make up for it calmly. That boy Bai Zai owes me a lot of money. Yizan exhaled. Empty circle. I have to take a group of such weak people. My duty is to protect them. I don't know how Aizen's experiment went. What the hell? Didn't he use the god of death as an experimental subject in his experiment? Wouldn't the group of students I lead be looked upon? So should I keep one eye closed, or not let him do it? Gee. The male god and the big boss behind the scenes is indeed a bit contradictory. Yizan scratched his hair again with a headache. His eyes fell on Dong Xianyao who was beside him. Dong Xian. Why do you want to be the god of death? Uphold justice. Very standard answer. After saying this, Yizan was silent. He is really a person who is not easy to approach, so what should people say with such an answer? I want strength. I want strength to make peace. Does this count as telling the truth to me? Yizan raised his eyebrows. Dongxian nodded silently. It seems that I have been quite successful as the captain. Brother Yizan. Rukia, what's wrong? They all said that eldest brother Yizan is very strong, and I want to fight with eldest brother. Call me big brother. Then what will be called Byakuya? Is it called second brother? Or brother-in-law? Interesting. Okay. Yizan nodded and took the bamboo knife that Rukia handed over. Snapped. The bamboo sword in Rukia's hand flew out. Yizan's eyes turned around in the direction the bamboo knife flew out, and stopped. I didn't control my strength by accident, he said helplessly in the eyes of the player's condemnation. Who knew that Rukia's strength was so small? It's me who is too weak. Rukia was a little disappointed, but quickly adjusted her attitude and said with vigor, I already know the gap with brother Yizan, and I will work harder in the future. Are you still practicing? Yizan took the bamboo knife that the team members picked up and handed it to Rukia. No, when I become stronger, I will challenge big brother Yi again. Rukia smiled at Yizan, held the bamboo sword and ran to Renji, and then began to practice swinging the sword. I always feel that this scene seems familiar. Yizan sat down on the steps again, resting his chin in one hand, thinking hard. She adores you. Yes, that's what it feels like. Yizan patted his thigh, then looked at Dong Xianyao suspiciously. Can't you see it? You know all this. Can't see, so hearing is more sensitive. ... In front of Xuanji Gate, Junyang's students stood in line, and the teacher who led the team stood in front of them, and Yizan looked at each other. Just a few months ago, they were Yizan's senior and teacher. Yizan became the captain of the 10th division in a blink of an eye, and they had to take them to the virtual circle to practice. They certainly recognized Yizan's strength. After all, Achuka's, who could not be beaten by the officers, was killed by him. But no amount of strength can solve the current situation. Embarrassment. Very embarrassing. Everyone is here. Yizan glanced at Ichimaru Silver in the crowd, and broke the enigmatic embarrassment. If you are here, let's go. After speaking, he stepped into the blue light curtain first. The people behind looked at each other in dismay, and then followed one after another. The virtual circle of the eternal night, the endless white sand, and the shrill sound of the wind, which is suddenly far and near, accompanied by the voice of the virtual who does not know where. This is a completely different place from the Soul Society. In the dark and terrifying space, and there was a phantom that didn't know when it would appear. A timid girl couldn't help but take a step back and turned back, only to see the last person coming out of the gate, and then the light curtain gradually disappeared. She swallowed nervously and moved closer to where the others were. This is the virtual circle. My mission is to take you here and try my best to ensure your safety. Yizan stood in front of them. The wind blew Yuji's hunting, but I still have characters who hunt Daxu. So you may not be able to take care of them all. After all, if you are too close to me, you may be swept by the virtual flash. So pay attention to yourself and try to stay within the range that I can arrive in time. Chapter 78 reach the virtual circle. Yizan looked around. Within a radius of 20 miles, if there is danger, send a signal, and I will rush over immediately when I see it. That, Captain, will the radius of 20 miles be too large? Teru Maya, the third seat of the 10th division, asked Yizan worriedly. His voice was a little hesitant, and he was a little clueless about this kind of thing that could be regarded as offending the captain's majesty. You won't be angry, will you? Captain is terrible. No, Yizan said lightly. With the wind scattered around, the spiritual pressure is very mixed, and the location of Daxu can't be determined. In fact, Apart from Killian, Yi Zan, a big virtual at the level of Achukas and Vastad, is also reluctant to kill. They are all living forces of the development of the virtual circle, and they are still their own men, killing one less. 100 Chileans, old man Yamamoto is really not soft at all. Because the captain is strong. Is this a compliment from Dongxian? It's the truth. If you talk like that, if I agree, others will definitely think that the captain and vice captain of the 10th Division turns out to be the king of Cowhide. Yizan waved his hand. If there is something to signal, I will complete mine mission. Half an hour later, the first signal for help came out. After Midatoyo bell. It's just a giant phantom, so are you scared like this? Yizan looked at the three students who almost didn't hug together, feeling powerless in his heart. Come on, at least exercise your courage. Yes, I'm sorry. The three students apologized in unison. Yizan waved his hand, turned around and left, but an unexpected figure appeared on the sand in the distance. White hair, squinted eyes, a cynical look. Captain Yizan. Ichimaru Silver nodded slightly. I just wondered why you appeared in the 5th or 6th grade experience. I said, in order to avoid Zaraki Kenpachi's entanglement. Does Captain Yizan believe it? As the initiator of Kenpachi's harassment of Ichimaru Silver, Yizan was not touched by Ichimaru Silver's words that were close to accusations. I believe, that guy is really annoying sometimes. Yizan snorted, pretending that it was none of his business at all. I heard that Zaraki Kenpachi and Captain Yizan have a very good relationship, and I specifically asked Deputy Captain Aizen to speak for me. But Captain Aizen told me that he tried his best, but he didn't succeed. Although sometimes I feel like a guardian of Jingling Court, but Zanaki Kenpachi doesn't look like a guy who needs a guardian anyway. Yizan frowned and shook his head. Everyone is for him. I'm also very distressed when things come to me. However, Zaraki Kenpachi said that it was because you told him my name and said that after he defeated me, he assigned me a new task. Ah, he actually told you. Yizan looked helpless and shrugged. I hope you understand me. After all, he fights with his classmates in school every day, and Captain Yamamoto came to me for this. I am also very helpless. Quote. So I sacrificed one to save the whole school. Ichimaru Silver pointed to his nose. I didn't expect that I would be such an important character. But there are people who are better than me in the school, right? Why me? Because you are always with Matsumoto Ranju. I'm afraid you are the only one who can retreat under the harassment of Kenpachi. It turns out that Captain Yizan knew it was harassment. Yeah, didn't you just say, sacrifice one of me and save the whole school? That's pretty much what it means. If there is nothing else, I'm still busy. After all, I still have the task of hunting down 100 Chileans. After Yizan finished speaking, he left without waiting for Ichimaru Silver to react. As Vice Captain Aizen said, he is really a tough person. Ichimaru Silver looked at Yizan's back and sighed. Deputy Captain Toxian, I detected that there is an Yachuka's level void nearby. Do you send a signal to the captain? Said the team member in charge of monitoring Reiatsu. Atyukas. The team members who heard this looked at each other. Of course we have to call the captain back. So many students are nearby. It's here. Tosen was about to turn in the direction he sensed the Reiatsu, pulling out his Zanpakudo. Send the signal now. The others are ready to fight. Yes, Vice Captain. At the same time, the students who were urgently assembled also exploded. No, it's Atyukas again. I heard that Achukas is not a common breed. But we meet every time. It doesn't matter, anyway. For Captain Yizan, defeating Yachukas is not a particularly difficult thing. Yes, I heard that he is stronger now than before. That being said, you should be nervous or nervous. During their chattering discussion, the death god in charge of monitoring looked at the electronic screen in shock. 3. What? The god of death who was closest to him pushed him away, staring at the 3 dots of light on the screen. Impossible. I saw it just now. No. It's impossible to miss it. It's just that you will hide the emptiness of the spiritual pressure. Calm down. Dong Xian wanted to say. At this time, Yi Zan hadn't come back yet. A caterpillar-like ghost wriggled over from a distance, and another Achukas was carried on the hill-like body. Although the caterpillar looks stupid and weighs 3.9, it is very fast, and it climbs in front of them in a blink of an eye. The bone mask can't stop its dripping drool, and soon leaves a large area of dipping on the sand. Wet traces. So many gods of death. Contrary to its ugly appearance, the caterpillar made a somewhat eerie childish voice, and the sharp voice was particularly terrifying in an empty and lightless environment. I want to eat. I want to eat. What to eat? Last time I said that I could transform by eating 3 gods of death, but it turned out to be a bug. Atukas in a bearskin jumped off it. For the sake of helping us hide, I can force you to save one for you later. One is not enough. Quote. The caterpillar let out a shriek, its open mouth full of kiba teeth. Chapter 79_very handsome. The timid girl exclaimed, and before she found out, she had automatically shrunk behind the others. What a rich meal. The bear-shaped virtual patted his heart and ran over on all fours. Ah. It's scary. Before Shu reached the front, several students had already screamed. This is what Yi Zan saw when he came back. These girls are too exaggerated. Forget about the girls, there are actually a few men who are also screaming in the girls. Tisk, you still want to be a god of death like this? Yi Zan looked at Dong Xianyao who had already fought Achukas with a knife. Have you forgotten all the ghost ways you learned? Captain. The 10th team member responsible for protecting the students saw Yi Zan as if they saw a life-saving straw. Captain, it's great that you are back. It's useless. Yi Zan passed by them like a gust of wind. When he saw Shu, his legs were weak, and he had to rely on others to protect him, so he actually wanted to be a god of death. Do you still expect a captain to save you in battles in the future? This sentence pierced their hearts like a knife, and even the 10th team members were not spared. What? Those students didn't expect Yi Zan to say such a thing, and they were all shocked. Captain, you admit defeat without even trying. Don't you think that you are too weak? Not only the body, but also the soul is weak. Oh, I forgot, everyone is just a spirit body. Yi Zan sighed, then pulled out Zanpakuto. The yuhi-colored blade exudes an eerie glow in the dim environment. This spiritual pressure. It's the man who defeated Balagang. Although the caterpillar did not join the Zai Palace, he knew very well about the virtual circle, including the actual king of the virtual circle, Yi Zan. This is the man who is hidden behind Balagang and Aizen, who even most of the virtuals don't know exists. It is clear that it is already a virtual circle, but what kind of death is still running? What a strange person. The caterpillar's eyeballs hidden in the pattern quickly turned, and then began to wriggle its plump body, with dozens of short legs moving on the sand. It just ran. Yi Zan looked at the dust that was thrown up, and gave up the idea of chasing and killing that Mao-Mao-Chong. If nothing else, at least a wink is still smart, which is already a very rare existence among his subordinates. Boom. The dense silver light fell from the sky, hitting the sand without a break, raising sand that was dozens of meters high. Even the sand where Yi Zan was standing undulated significantly, and the scattered sand quickly submerged his calf. This is Dongxian's Yuhi locust. Yi Zan jumped out of the gradually sinking sand. There's a lot of movement. He dodged to the edge of the bunker that had just formed, and looked at the scarred but still able to move Shu. Where's the other one? Dongxian wanted to twitch his ears, apparently distinguishing the sound, and after a while, he shook his head. I can't find it. It shouldn't have escaped like the caterpillar just now. Is it hiding? Yi Zan looked around. At this time, there was another scream from the direction of the student, and a pipe-like object suddenly emerged from the sand, engulfing several people. One of them was still a seat officer. Yi Zan had the impression that he should be the 8-seater. This would be futile to use Zanpakuto to cut the things that hound them. Thing looked pliable, though, and Zanpakuto left only a faint trace on it. Brush. Yi Zan swung the knife, and the reishi that was transformed into yuhi color through Zanpakuto swirled and left a wound on the tube, and the yellow-brown juice dripped out from the opening. So disgusting, what is this thing? Yizan frowned at the thing, no longer taking it lightly, and rushed up with Zanpakuto. Laugh. When the blade pierced that thing, a sharp sound that made Kiba sour rang out in Yizan's ear, as if it was torn apart by an old tire. What the hell? Yizan endured Kiba's sour voice and feel, and swiped to the end. The thing heard and quickly released the people who were caught. Only then did Yizan see that the head close to them was the head of this thing. Is this thing an earthworm? Yizan raised his leg and kicked the heavy body, causing the earthworm to roar in anger. So stupid, wasn't that caterpillar very clever just now? Yizan jumped up and slashed on top of the mask of this thing. Originally, he was going to cut the mask, but this guy was so flexible that he forced his mask to shift by dozens of centimeters. I feel like I'm going to spit out the overnight meal. Yizan shook off the mucus on Zanpakuto. Beast bones, spires, yuhi crystals, and steel wheels are scattered all over the place. When you move, you are wind, and when you stop, you are empty. The sound of spears hitting each other fills the virtual city. The 63rd Way, Thunder Roar. 703. A dazzling white light flashed, Earthworm Shoe's mask was shattered, and his body collapsed directly into a spiritual child. It's amazing. The girl he rescued exclaimed and looked at Yizan with adoring star eyes. It only took one move. No, 2 moves. It took only 2 moves to kill Yachuka. Happy. On the other hand, the battle that Dong Xian wanted was not over yet. Invisibility is inherently a disadvantage. Although he possesses high spiritual power, this disadvantage cannot be hidden. The final style of clearing insects, Yan Mo Cricket. Yahahaha, so he already knows Bankai. Yizan turned his head and looked at the big black bag that appeared out of thin air. Compared to Vice Captain Toxian, who had to rely on Bankai to defeat Yachukas, it is obvious that Captain Yizan, who can quickly destroy Yachukas with only the thunder roar, is more powerful than Shikai. Yeah, it looks so easy, just swung the knife like this, then swung it, and used the thunder roar cannon. I think that Captain Yizan was disgusting with the liquid body flowing out of that Achukas, so he used the ghost way. A girl said. The girl who grew up beside her echoed, I think so too. He pouted when he was thrown just now, that disgusting action is so handsome. Chapter 80 _ Its provocation. Girls, your compliments will make me proud. Yi Xuanyan smiled lightly. Captain Yizan, is the 10th Division still recruiting? The girl who spoke had a ponytail, the one who was rescued by Yizan once in Zhenyang before. After being hit by Yizan twice in a row, the eyes she looked at Yizan had turned into star eyes, and her admiration was beyond words. Yizan nodded without hesitation. Trick. Yizan's tone was fast and urgent, and the girl raised her head in surprise. Then I will definitely sign up. Exactly, we don't have a single girl in the 10th Division. Yizan sighed with emotion. I really envy the other divisions for having so many lovely girls. It would be great if you could come. The ponytail girl's face turned into Yuhi's. On the other hand, the eyes of other girls also started to sparkle. Yizan coughed in disguise, and with a master demeanor, he turned his hands and left. He really waved his sleeves without taking away a cloud, but his heart was not as calm as he himself showed. Girl. He can already predict that in the near future, a group of girls will capture his 10th Division. I get up early to go to work. I no longer see only men, but also beautiful girls, gentle girls, tsundere girls, and coquettish girls. In the future, I can take them on missions. The girls are very weak, so I can fall from the sky when they are frightened by the virtual. Beautiful life. Yizan looked at the gloomy and desolate scene in front of him, but felt that he saw the spring flowers blooming. A void night. Ichimaru Silver walked through the long and empty corridor under the gazes of the crowd, pushed open the door of the laboratory, and did not go in, but leaned against the door frame with a very lazy and casual posture. His eyes swept through the blue spirits in the instrument and fell on Aizen. At this time, Aizen was concentrating on recording data in the notebook, but there was no response to the arrival of Ichimaru Silver. The vice captain is so laid back, the 10th division captain is in the virtual circle, but you are interested in doing experiments here. Ichimaru Silver said in a frivolous tone, if you are discovered. They still have to protect the students, so it's impossible to come here. Aizen's expression didn't change. It's you, what's the matter here? It's nothing, it's just a rare time to come to the virtual circle, come and have a look. Ichimaru Silver smiled, his expression more like a snake than a fox. I thought there would be a fierce battle, but I didn't expect those big virtuals to actually don't do it to me. You can fight whoever you want, just say it. Aizen finally looked up at Ichimaru Silver. If there is an opportunity to defeat the god of death, they will not miss it. Ichimaru Silver held Zanpakuto's hand tightly. How's your experiment compared to this? Aizen, who was about to lower her head to work, glanced at Ichimaru Silver again. Slight progress. This thing can really give people power. Ichimaru Silver's tone was somewhat sarcastic and suspicious, but only he knew how nervous he was now, so nervous that Aizen made a single action, and he might not be able to control it. Pull out Zanpakuto. Aizen still bowed his head and went about his own business, without answering his words. Ichimaru Silver was silent for a moment. You don't seem to be afraid of the captain of the 10th division. Is there? Iran's mouth twitched slightly, and it quickly returned to calm. Actually, I can't understand why you can still sit here safely knowing that there are so many gods of death in the virtual circle. The reason I have explained just now, because they have no reason to approach the Zai Palace. Yizan came with the task of hunting down 100 Kyrians. If he can't find so many Kyrians in the outer area, do you think he will find them here? Aizen pushed his glasses, and the flashing reflection was particularly dazzling in the dimly lit room. So what do you want to say? I have an intuition. Ichimaru Silver said. I always feel that you and Yizan have something to do. What does something mean? Like, a good relationship. It's not a good relationship, it's just that I'm with the guardian of the 13th year, and there are some contacts. Why, you still want me to help you talk about Zakagi Kenpachi? No need. Speaking of Zaragi Kenpachi, Ichimaru Silver's squinting eyes opened slightly. I have already told him that personally, and his answer to me is no different from what you conveyed. Then what's the matter with you? Don't you think this person is a threat? Ichimaru Silver walked into the room and put one hand on the container containing the spiritual child. Perhaps, the whole experiment you conducted to collect the aptitude for the god of death in Ryahun Street has been discovered. Yizan is a disciple of Yamamoto Shigekuni, so it is normal to investigate this matter. Then let him investigate, he can't find anything anyway. After Aizen said this, a sneer came from outside. Aizen, you. Shut up. Aizen interrupted Grimjow's unfinished words. If you think you have nothing to do, you can drive some Killian to Yizan, that is, the vicinity of the new 10th Division captain. After all, he has 100. It's really not very convenient for Killian's mission to kill us. Grimjow looked at Aizen sluggishly, and then laughed. The new captain of the 10th Division. Is it from the Soul World? Really good. After speaking, he turned to leave. When I came here just now, Yizan killed an Ajukas, and his vice-captain also killed one. Ichimaru Silver looked at Grimjow's back and gloated, your subordinates can still back. Smart people will weigh their own strength, not smart. It's not a pity to die. Aizen closed the notebook calmly. Since you are free, why don't you do an experiment for me? What experiment? Ichimaru Silver's eyes turned to the container of Reiko Shungyu again. About that. Aizen smiled mysteriously. That's on hold for the time being. I found some clues and I'm still investigating. The experiment I'm going to do now is about blurring the ghost of death. Are you interested? Of course. Ichimaru Silver nodded. As long as I don't use me as an experimental subject, I'm very interested in these things.